Welcome to part 8 of What If Naruto Awakens a Chakra-Molding Bloodline and Gets Harem with Fem Haku. Don't forget to like and subscribe as it motivates me to upload more videos in the future, and as always, link to the fanfiction is in the description. Chapter 57. Naruto stared at Kakuzu and his creatures, making sure not to let them leave his sight while still holding onto Ino. So this is another member of the Akatsuki. Great, each one of these guys has to be freaks. Naruto couldn't help but think, looking at the Stitched Mask and the Stitched Man combo in front of him. He also remembered Kisame and the fact that the man was basically a mutated fish. Still, he pushed that thought from his mind and focused on the battle at hand. Naruto-kun, can you put me down? Ino asked her boyfriend awkwardly. For while she was glad he was here to help and was one of the people that saved her, they still needed to be completely focused on the battle. Something that she couldn't help with stuck in Naruto's arms. Oh, sorry, Naruto told the girl, a bit embarrassed that he forgot he was holding her. Hey, well, what do you know, this time waste actually will end up benefiting me. Kakuzu said happily. Through letting a team escape them, it not only came back with another bounty to collect but also pulled the Jinchuriki out of the village and right into his open arms. Hey, if this luck continues to go on, I might just have to think of the Land of Fire as one of my favorite places to work. Kakuzu thought, seeing as the time waste ended up being a huge time saver for him. With that in mind, his masks quickly attacked the ninja with their wires. Said ninja quickly spread out in the process of dodging the attacks while Kakuzu simply watched from afar. Damn, these things are annoying. Naruto complained about the masks, seeing as if he quickly was learning why they had so much trouble with them. If you got close to them, they would send out strands of the wire-like material at you and would send out a few jutsu. Finally, if they managed to get you in range in between them, then they would send wires at you from nearly all directions. A fact that Yamato found out as he was forced to create a partial wood dome around himself, as at least a dozen wires tried to pierce into him. Tell me about it. Ino grumbled, wanting the monsters to die already. Focus, you two. Yamato scolded his younger teammates, partially annoyed that they would let themselves get even a bit unfocused while facing an S-class threat. He them jumped out from behind his dome before he could be attacked again. We need a way to kill these things and focus on Kakuzu. Right now all he is doing is letting these things tire us out before he gets involved. Kakashi thinks while rolling to avoid a wires that to pierce through his head and chest. But how? From what I can see, they have no real body, so hitting a vital point is impossible, but there has to be a way. Kakashi thought before having a quick flashback to watching the first mask come out shattered and soon fall apart. He then formulated a plan off of the idea this memory gave him. Kakashi then ran at one of the masks head on and quickly was blocked by a large fireball coming at him. A blast that he easily dodged and changed his target to the other mask while going through several had signs. Kaden. Fire Dragon Jutsu, Kakashi quickly called out, launching a massive fire dragon at the mask that in turn had to fire a large blast of water to negate the attack, creating a large amount of mist to yet again cover the field. While this covered his tracks, Kakashi quickly jumped towards Naruto and whispered a plan to said blonde, who smiled. Their focus though quickly turned back to the fight as the mist was cleared from a gust of wind. Tisk, would you stop wasting my time? Kakuzu told them, annoyed, seeing as his plan of getting them to exhaust themselves was taking too long in his opinion. Not to mention they seemed to be doing little more than just playing around with his mask's attack patterns. I should speed this battle up, after all time is money, but first. Kakuzu thought, mentally commanding his water mask to come to him and re-enter his body. He then let out the air mask that quickly combined with the fire mask to create a double-headed creature. Thus ending his annoyance with the Kakashi creating steam to hide. After which he quickly ran at said ninja and quickly began a taijutsu match. Keeping Kakashi occupied simply by the fact that he had to focus on keeping his limbs enhanced with chakra simply to keep up with Kakuzu's superior strength. Still, while this was going on, Naruto quickly created a few hundred clones to keep the monster distracted while he regrouped with Yamato and Ino to let them in on Kakashi's idea. Soon enough they all nodded to each other and put their focus mainly on the beast, trusting Kakashi to keep Kakuzu busy while they hopefully took care of one of their enemies. They all then ran at the combined masks that was now about done with killing the clones that only rushed at it with weapons rather than jutsu. Ino started off the attack by launching a quick blast of water which the dodged simply by bending to the side. Naruto then rushed at the beast and tried his best to slice the creature with wind-enhanced kunai, keeping the creature on the move. Naruto's reckless charge lasted for about a minute until several beams of wood wrapped around the beast tight enough to make it not be able to slip out. Now, Ino called out and Naruto quickly jumped high into the air, coming down with the intention of stabbing one of the masks directly in its forehead. Sadly, just as he was coming in close, both masks opened up and began to gather chakra to their mouth. Shit, Naruto said and quickly tried to mold his chakra into a shield, knowing there was no chance of him escaping this blast. Seconds later, a large firestorm was launched from the masks due to the wind and fire combining their jutsus. A blast that was large enough to tear a trench and forced Ino and Yamato to dive to either side as far as they could to dodge the main attack, but still could feel the intense heat from the fire. Naruto-kun, Ino called out in worry, only to sigh out in relief when she saw him after the flames died down. He was still standing thankfully, but clearly had pretty severe burns on his arms that he shielded himself with. Damn, that hurts, Naruto mumbled out, looking at the second and third degree burns his arms had from taking the brunt of the attack after his shield failed. Thankfully the rest of him was relatively fine thanks to this. Still, he tried his best to ignore the pain and focus on the beast, knowing that the Kyuubi will eventually heal the burns. Well, that didn't work. On to plan B, Naruto told Ino and Yamato after jumped away from the now free creature. Have any ideas then? Yamato asked, open for suggestions. Only a crazy one, Naruto told them with his prankster smirk on. He then summoned a dozen clones that rushed towards the beast but stayed several feet from it. Ino-chan, can you mess the ground up underneath this bastard? Naruto asked the girl, who nodded and quickly went through several hand seals before slamming her hands on the ground. Soon enough, a large amount of the land around her turned to a mud-like material, causing the creature to sink down a bit. Now Yamato-sensei, create a dome around it, Naruto told the man, who looked confused. He just showed that he can burn it down in moment. Just do it please, Naruto told the man, who sighed and quickly created a solid dome around the wire creature. Naruto smiled at this and turned his focus completely on the dome. Now let's take a page from those puppeteers while this bastard can't see us, Naruto muttered before creating 3 chakra chains with wind chakra enhancing their tips. He then launched them all at the dome, piercing through it easily. Meanwhile, the rest of his clones quickly did the same thing, making the sphere end up with dozens of chains with no real design. After the attacks landed, they all stood still for a moment, with the only noises coming from Kakashi, who still was keeping Kakuzu occupied and Naruto's chains swaying in the wind. Eventually Yamato had enough of not knowing if the combination attack worked and removed his dome to show the creature. Said creature was still standing with most of the chains pierced through its flesh. It was simply standing there before all of a sudden the masks focused on Naruto. Bastards, Kakuzu growled out after forcing Kakashi to jump away from him. These damn brats managed to kill my hearts. Well, I better make the last bit of chakra they have count, Kakuzu thought, willing the creature to focus completely on Naruto. The masks then launched another blast, though this time not only was it more focused but were now blue, almost white, speeding towards the real Naruto, who could only watch as the blast came at him with his focus on the chains, making him stay still for seconds he did not have. No! Ino screamed out and without thinking ran at Naruto as fast as she could before slamming into him as hard as she could, hitting him enough to get them both out of the blast's range, with only a good portion of the girl's ponytail being burnt to nothingness. Whoa, never saw you move that fast, Naruto told the girl, who landed on top of him, causing her to blush a bit out of embarrassment. He then gave her a large smile. Thank you, my hero, he told her teasingly, making her blush a bit more. Still, they both knew they couldn't stay distracted and instead focused back on the battle, only for them to see the masking had refocused on them. Shit, Ino muttered out. No you don't, Yamato called out, throwing 2 kunai at the creature that was not focused enough on him to even see them coming. Thanks to this, each kunai managed to land directly in the mask's forehead. Unfortunately for the creature, each of the kunai had seals on them that quickly began to burn before finally exploding, breaking the masks completely. They all then watched as the beast quickly lost its life, and turned into a large pile of the wires it was made of. Still, they didn't look long before turning their focus solely. Kakuzu, who was looking at all of them, finally passed his calm demeanor and was now furious with them. Said man quickly killed all of the clones that were around where the creature once stood before standing on the pile of threads. It is time to end this stupidity. He told them all before mumbling, Earth grudge fear, that quickly forced his chakra through the extra thread, turning himself into what could only be called a monster. Look him up, watch anime, it's what he looks like minus the masks connected. What the hell? Ino asked, terrified by the man's new look. Course they didn't get to look for long before he began attacking them by basically launching the large amount of thread around him all around the field. Naruto, you know now would be the perfect time for that new jutsu. Yamato told Naruto, not having any true idea how to face this jutsu. Alright, Naruto muttered, creating 3 clones close to him. 2 of which that created a shield around him and the other clone. He then quickly created a Rasengan that the last clone quickly began to condense wind chakra into the orb. Though, finally after a while of prepping the attack, his clones quickly dispelled, leaving Naruto with the attack that was making so much noise that everyone focused on the attack. Still Naruto paid no mind to this and quickly ran at Kakuzu with the attack. Sadly though, he easily dodged by picking himself up into the air with the wires while slamming another at Naruto's back hard enough to launch him into a tree instead, while thankfully not puncturing through his body. Due to this, Naruto's attack ended up hitting the remains of the few trees he slammed into, causing them to be cut to shreds. Whatever that attack is, I cannot let it touch me. Kakuzu though firmly seeing the devastation created. A blast he had little doubt that would even end him. Okay, let's try this again, Naruto mumbles before creating several more clones. I won't let you. Kakuzu growled out, only to be stopped by being hit by a fire and earth ball slamming into his appendages. Get ready Naruto, we will protect you. Kakashi told him firmly, knowing that his attack surely would be the closest thing to a one-hit they had. That is until the anime makes him be able to pop them off like candy, and almost always not do much with it or miss. Sorry, had to have a mini rant. So, for the next few minutes that was the new battle. The rest of the team trying their hardest to both force Kakuzu keep his attention away from the blonde and from attacking his quickly created shield. Finally though, Naruto had the next one finished and dismissed the clones, helping and protecting him while keep the rest of them. Okay, let's go. Naruto ordered the group that all attacked Kakuzu at once, who quickly worked on demolishing the clones until Naruto came into closer range. He then threw several attacks at the blonde, who dodged the attacks only to find them come from behind and pierce through his body, making his eyes widen. Naruto-kun, Ino called out in horror, watching her boyfriend die only to watch seconds later as his body poofed away in smoke, showing he was nothing but a shadow clone. What? Kakuzu muttered, surprised, and quickly tried to find the real blonde only to notice that he was already too close to him. So he made a clone have the attack in front of him, take my focus enough that I didn't even notice that the brunt of that crazy noise was behind me rather than with the attack. Kakuzu thought, cursing his stupid mistake. Course he didn't have long to think about this before his mind focused on the pain that the attack gave him. Wind release, Rasenshuriken, Naruto called out before slamming into the man's back. He then watched as the ball seemed to detach from needing him to instead push Kakuzu several yards away. The attack then created a crater while somehow at the same time kept Kakuzu up in the air, getting his by a large amount of what appeared to be tiny white blades. Still Naruto didn't have time to feel proud due to soon finding the pain that his first attack caused increased by a drastic amount. So, I guess if I keep my focus on condensing the attack all the way until they make contact, they are not only a lot stronger but also cause a lot more whiplash. Naruto thought before looking over at Ino. He quickly pulled out a pack of bandages and quickly wrapped his injured arm. That's truly amazing. Even I can't count how many attacks have hit him. Kakashi thought, seeing as even his special, I couldn't keep track of the hits. Still soon enough Kakuzu fell to the ground and laid there. Yamato then quickly jumped into the crater and let himself slide down to the man and quickly placed his fingers on his neck, confirming that the man was indeed dead. Yada, you did it. Ino cheered with a large smile before a strand of hair made its way in front of her eyes. What happened? Ino thought, horrified. For now that the battle was over, she could alloy her more girly side to come out. With this in mind, she quickly pulled out a mirror and looked at the back of her head and let out another blood-curdling scream. Don't worry Ino-chan, it will grow back. Besides, you look just as beautiful with short hair. Naruto told her before giving her a loving kiss. Ahem, As much as I would love to watch young love, please remember that we are still missing people. Kakashi told them, making the both blush heavily out of the fact that let the battle go to their heads so much that they forgot their friends. Don't worry, we finished the job. Shikamaru told them with a cigarette in his mouth as he walked into the clearing. Behind him was the rest of the team, including Sakura, who looked like she was desperately fighting back the desire to either hit the young genius to at least remove the cigarette from him, forcefully. Shikamaru's team. After forcing Hidan to run away with him, Shikamaru quickly let the man go after reaching another open field. Che, finally deciding to grow some balls? Hidan asked, clearly annoyed. Though instead of responding right away, Shikamaru pulled out his sensei's signature blades. No, I just have his revenge all planned out. He told him seriously. Ha ha ha, you honestly think a weak fucker like you can repay that bitch? He was a sacrifice, and soon enough you and the rest of your village will be as well. Hidan told him with a crazed smile that only made Shikamaru grip his weapons harder. He then glanced over at Choji, who just reached him. My plans are marked with our regular way. Don't get too close to them, and for the love of Kami, do not let this bastard get your blood. Shikamaru ordered his friend, who nodded, and then they both attacked the man. Them spent their time trying to injure the man in any way possible, while Hidan somehow kept from getting hit too badly while keeping his crazed attacks going. They kept this going as they all moved all around the field until Shikamaru eventually used his shadow a small bit to push Hidan off his stance to stumble. As he did this, Choji slammed an enlarged fist into the man, forcing him to slide close to a tree. A tree that soon glowed as several explosive seals on it went off, blowing up the crazed man. Ah, damn you fuckers. Hidan growled at them with his limbs still fully attached, thought he now had several burns and cuts on his body. How is this even possible? Choji muttered. Course, before their basic battle could begin again, they all turned their attention to the forest behind them, where Sai and Sakura quickly came out of. So, I take it that Team 7 is our reinforcements then? Shikamaru asked, even though he knew the answer. Yup, don't worry, we will kick this bastard's ass into the ground. Sakura told him confidently while clenching her fist in front of her face. Right, Shikamaru muttered, too busy changing his plans to fit his newest teammates. So, Choji and Sai, do you think you will be able to keep this psychopath occupied? Shikamaru asked the two, who nodded to the man. Okay, Sakura, you are with me, he added before walking away with her. Oi, where do you fuckers think you are going? Hidan asked, annoyed, and began running at them, only to be hit into a tree by a large fist. Meanwhile, Sai was sitting on the ground a ways away, drawing as fast as he could. Damn you, Hidan yelled at Choji, seeing as even for him this fight was getting old. Sadly, before he could do anything else, he had 4 ink lions surrounding him. Motherfucker. Hidan called out, annoyed that he was being kept from sacrificing for so long without even beginning able to cut anything up. Raw. He growled and began to swing at the ink beast, wanting to get through the distractions as soon as possible. Meanwhile, Shikamaru and Sakura were talking in the forest just a minute or two from the main fight. So why exactly are we walking away from the fight? I thought you wanted revenge. Sakura asked Shikamaru, questioning if the rage he was feeling was making the guy dumber for some reason. Oh, trust me, I will get my revenge. We just need to set up a way to finish off an immortal. Shikamaru told her coldly. Now, do you know any earth jutsus to create a hole here as deep as possible? He asked the girl, who smirked. I think I can do a bit better. Sakura told him with a smirk before slamming her fist into the ground, creating a rather large crater. She then repeated this process several times, forcing the dirt underneath her to either move to the side or get compacted meters at a time. Meanwhile, Shikamaru just stood there shocked as she did this. And people wonder why the Nara men fear forceful women. They may look good, but the stronger the women is, the scarier they are. Not to mention that a lot of the stronger ones have a hit-first mentality. We fear women not because we act stupid. It is because we are smart enough to know just how much damage they really could cause us if they wanted. Shikamaru thought with a shiver of fear. Hey, is this deep enough? Sakura asked from the newly created hole. Yay. Now I guess we work on the next step. Shikamaru tells her, pulling out a large spool of ninja wire, much to the girl's confusion. Still, she shrugged and just went with it, assuming that just like always, Naras always have a plan. Plus about 15 minutes later plus. Okay, we are finally ready. Shikamaru told her, whipping some sweat off his brow. Finally. Now let's go fight that bastard. Sakura told him only to see him shake his head. If you don't mind, this will be something I wish to do myself. Don't worry, you guys can keep an eye on the fight and help if it is needed. Shikamaru told her, hoping she would understand. Sigh. Damn men and their machismo. Fine, I will let the others know. Just don't die on us. Sakura told him, completely serious. With being decided, they both quickly joined their team again, with Sakura grabbing onto both of the backs of their shirts and jumped away from the fight, much to their utter surprise. Oh, what the fuck is going on now? Hidan asked with rage clear in his eyes. These fuckers have kept this fight going on for so damn long and I haven't even gotten to cut off a limb yet. I am not gonna just sacrifice these bitches, but will make sure to hunt down each and every one of their families to kill for revenge. Hidan thought, seeing as unlike with most of his fights he was not having fun at all. Don't worry, I promise you that this will truly be the last time you have to fight me. Shikamaru told him coldly. He then swung his kunai at Hidan, who quickly blocked it with his scythe. He then slowly both pushed and retreated from Hidan until the man was finally standing just in front of where Sakura created her hole. A fact that remained unknown to the man due to it being covered by a semi-sturdy cover they placed over it. Finally, Shikamaru muttered before charging at the man recklessly. Hey, you finally fucked up. Hidan told him with a large smile as he pushed the kunai away from his body with a quick push from his weapon's pole before bringing his scythe down and cutting into Shikamaru's shoulder, making him grab his bloody shoulder. Shikamaru. Choji called out, scared that he would lose yet another member of his team to this bastard. They all then charged at him. No, stay back. Shikamaru yelled at them as Hidan quickly licked the blood from his blade and jumped back to get away from anyone that could stop his ritual. Hey, now come on fuckers, let's get the sacrifice finally started. Hidan told them with a smile as his skin quickly became black. Course, instead of looking worried, Shikamaru just smirked at the man and threw a basic kunai at his feet with an obvious explosive seal. Yes, let's end this. He told the man with a smirk as they both waited the seconds until the explosion with a smile on their faces. And after the few seconds passed, a massive explosion covered Hidan in dust. A problem that Sai quickly fixed by using a minor wind jutsu, showing that the man fell down into Sakura's hole. How? Choji asked, looking at his best friend who was perfectly fine. Course, he just ignored the question and walked to the edge of the hole with the rest of the group shrugging and coming to it soon after. Ha 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 ha, how'd that feel? Hidan called out from down in the hole with both of his legs blown off from the blast. Pretty damn good. Shikamaru told the man, honestly shocking the immortal. What? How the fuck are you fine? He asked, enraged yet again. Simple. You just managed to harm one of our prisoners who was scheduled to be killed today. Shikamaru told him with a smirk before pulling out a pack of blood from where it was attached to his shoulder. Which I don't know. He added, seeing as he bribed Anko for several different bags to have a better chance of him hitting the bag rather than his body. But you don't need to worry about that. He told him before turning to Sakura. Would you mind making him unable to use his arms? He asked the girl, handing her a pack of needles. Which she quickly pulled a few out and launched them at each of his shoulders. Ah, fuck you bitch. Hidan yelled at the girl, who clearly didn't care in the slightest. Meanwhile, Shikamaru pulled out more kunai, with these having wire attached to their loops. He then began throwing them all around the hole, creating a spider web of wires before pulling out a cigarette and Asuma's lighter. I am so sorry about that, but don't worry, you won't have to worry for long. Shikamaru told him, with his cold eyes never leaving Hidan's own madness-filled eyes. For after meeting you, I had to ponder long and hard at one of the hardest questions I have ever found: how to kill an immortal. And you know, I never really found an answer I was happy with. That was until I thought about just removing you from this earth completely, and then the answer was quite clear. Shikamaru explained, making everyone notice the wires were covered with explosive seals. With the slightest action to kickstart it, this hole would turn into a fiery pit and end up burying you under a few tons of earth for the rest of your seemingly immortal life. Now, just so you know, Shikamaru told him before lighting the lighter and quickly starting his cigarette. In the end, a piece of Asuma was the one to defeat you. He ended, letting the lighter fall from his hands before turning and walking away from the hole as the rest of the group fled from the blast radius. Meanwhile, Hidan could only watch as the lighter slowly fell towards one of the seals that ended up on the ground. Fuck. Hidan called out before he was engulfed in the blast. Rest in peace, sensei. Shikamaru thought, taking a long drag from his cigarette, not even bothering to look back at the large cloud that was created just behind him. Plus present plus. Hey, you know Ino, if you wanted to copy I could have helped you instead of trying a fire. Sakura began before feeling enough ki focused on her that it made her almost see her own death, something that hadn't happened in years. Shut up, forehead, and none of you ever talk about this. Ino ordered the group, who quickly nodded their heads, terrified of the girl's sudden blast of ki. Chapter 58. On the way back to Konoha. Most of the group was thankfully not harmed except for Naruto, though due to his healing powers a tight bandage on his arm was enough to keep him stable for right now. Currently though, they were rushing back to the village after sealing up only Kakuzu and Hidan's weapon because, well, the rest of him was really available. After all, they might as well get a reward for risking their lives after the bastards. How much longer until we get home? Ino asked as she jumped through the trees. We will be home in about 20 minutes, Ino. We are going as fast as we can, don't worry, you will be able to get your precious hair looked at. Shikamaru told the girl, who glared at his back. I said to stop mentioning it. She growled at the lazy Nara, who wisely didn't tease her anymore. Ma, Ino-san, don't worry, we will get to the village before you know it. After all, we all deserve to get a quick checkup and a long rest. Kakashi told her with his eye smile. Yay, Ino muttered. Even if it cost me my hair, I honestly am glad I was part of the groups that finally finished off those two. Asuma-sensei can now rest in peace knowing that the monster of a man is buried in the dirt, though I do have to wonder about Naruto-kun's newest attack. Ino thought, glancing at Naruto's hand, which the blonde still didn't have control of. She swore that as she looked she could see the blood stains getting larger by the second. While that attack was crazy strong, what kind of attack harms their user that badly, besides I guess suicide techniques? I just hope his arm can be fixed. She thought, worried about the blonde. Don't worry, Ino-chan, I'm sure it will be fine. Naruto told her when he noticed her looking at him while turning his chest a bit to hide his damaged hand. I am just happy that the Rasenshuriken worked so well. Naruto said with a smirk. Grr, damn you Naruto, that attack didn't work well. Look at what it did to your arm. Sakura yelled at Naruto, who flinched at the girl's rage. I guess, but don't worry, I'll heal. I always do. Naruto told her, already feeling the fox in his own natural healing slowly working on the damage. Course his statement didn't seem to make Sakura any happier by the looks of it. Still, after that was said, the rest of the trip was relatively quiet, with everyone else not wanting to talk much, either too lost in their own thoughts or simply too tired to talk. Thankfully though, the trip, just as they thought, didn't take long at all. As soon as they entered the village, everyone besides Naruto got a quick check-up due to not being incredibly injured. After which Naruto was forced to stay in the hospital by Shizune while the rest of the group went to go report their battles to Tsunade. Though no one noticed Naruto quietly creating a single clone that simply nodded to him before jumping towards the clan compounds. _clone Naruto_. After escaping without the rest of the group noticing, the clone quickly focused on getting to his target's destination. Though he was slightly distracted by the fact that he could feel the wound on his arm almost getting worse now that it didn't have either forms of the real Naruto's healing. I really hope that it isn't possible for me to get enough damage from a wound to pop, or die from blood loss. He thought with a sweat drop at the thought. After all, he was well aware that the real Naruto often abused the clone technique, but that would have been one of the most embarrassing deaths they ever had. Still, he ended up making it to his target and quickly knocked on the door. He then waited only a few moments before the door opened to show Ino's mother. Hey, can I come in? Naruto asked, trying to be polite, seeing as he wasn't sure if he would be attacked by Inoichi if he was home. After all, their first confusion was cleared up, but he's still a bit nervous about the man. Thankfully, even though he saw the man sitting at the kitchen table, the older blonde made no move to attack Naruto as he and said man's wife joined him. What brings you here? Inoichi asked sternly while inwardly smiling at the clear hesitation Naruto had when he saw him. Well, I don't really know how to put this, but we all just came back from a mission and, well, something happened to Ino-chan. Naruto told him before noticing the man quickly focus even more on him. What happened to my little girl? He growled out, hoping it wouldn't be what he feared. Nothing super bad. She is fine. Naruto quickly told them, waving his hands in front of him, causing both parents to clearly relax a bit. Then what happened? Inoichi asked a bit more calmly. Well, for lack of better words, she got a haircut. Naruto told them, making them both deadpan at the blonde. I mean that an attack narrowly missed her and ended up cutting her hair. She has been real sensitive to it, so I just wanted to let you know so you didn't comment on it too much. Naruto told them, honestly confusing Inoichi. Ah, my poor girl. Ino's mother muttered. After all, while they were proud ninja, they still like to be feminine when not on the job, and part of that was keeping all their looks in top-notch shape. Okay, and why did you deem it was that important to tell us about her losing some simple strands of hair? Inoichi asked, ignoring his wife's glare for the moment. To be honest, I kind of just want her to be able to come home and relax. While I am sure they feel a bit better now that they took revenge, her team still lost someone very important to them. Due to this, they must still be under a lot of stress. So, now that you know the one surprise you will see, I am asking you to not mention it when she gets home, or at least not a lot. Please just let her rest and get a good night's sleep after all of the emotion and physical turmoil she must have been feeling. Naruto told them honestly. Ah, how sweet. Ino's mother called out, happy that Naruto cared enough about her baby to go the extra mile to help her out. Mentally, she added this to be another plus for him in her mind. Yay, well thank you then. Inoichi told him, honestly not sure how to react at the moment. Course he didn't have to worry about that, seeing as Naruto simply nodded to the man before saying a quick goodbye and poofed out of existence. A while later. After the meeting finished up, Ino finally made it home and clearly was nearly dead on her feet with exhaustion. Hey mom, hey dad. Ino called out tiredly. I can expel. Ino started after seeing both the adults' attention on her, only to be stopped by her mother. Shish, hun, we can talk about that tomorrow. How about you get a nice long bath before getting a night's rest? Ino's mother told the girl, who didn't need to be told twice and simply left them with a smile of thanks. Though after she was sure that Ino wasn't in range, her mother couldn't help but glance over at her husband. Poor girl, her hair is really bad. She admitted to something that Inoichi couldn't help but agree with. And I am sure I am going to dealing with both of you going even more crazy on your beauty treatment sprees until it gets back to normal, my poor wallet and home. Inoichi told his wife with a sigh that got him a quick jab to his side. HMPH, I don't hear you complaining at night about my beauty. She told him with a small glare before walking away from the man. Oh, why did fashion have to be their fix? I mean, I can't imagine anyone else that has to deal with their entire living room filled with different beauty things, and I don't even want to start thinking about the cost of said products. Inoichi thought with another sigh. Course his thoughts then went to his wife, and he decided he couldn't complain too much about beauty with a small blush on his cheeks. Hospital. After being left in the hospital, Naruto was quickly forced to strip down to his boxers and get into one of the private rooms they had. Shizune then carefully began a slow scan over the blonde's entire body. She kept a straight face through most of the exam, but when she reached his arms, her eyes widened. Naruto-san, what in the world happened to your arms? She asked Naruto, who rubbed his head with his non-bandaged arm. Well, some of it happened due to a fire jutsu, but a good portion of it was the kickback on my newest jutsu. He told her honestly before realizing who he said it to. But don't worry Shizune, I promise that I won't use it in battle again until I work that quirk out of it. He told her, trying to make her not worry. Just stay in the bed and I will get someone to help your healing process along. I need to go speak with someone. She told him, lost in her own thoughts. What is wrong? Naruto asked, a bit concerned, never seeing her leave while in the middle of a healing session before. Course he didn't have much time to focus on this due to his newest medical ninja coming into the room. Haku-chan. Naruto called out happily as he saw his snow princess. Hello Naruto-kun, I just wish I didn't have to see you here. Haku told him calmly, clearly worried about him even though she tried to hide it. She then dodged a kiss he tried to give her, making said blonde frown a bit. Please Naruto-kun, they want us to act professional. Haku told him, seeing as in the rules she had to go through it clearly stated it didn't want the female or male medical team to get distracted. Before I get too far into this scene, know that I am not trying to make medical facilities females look bad in this. It is purely for a comedic section in this, feel free to complain though, I guess. Oh, come on Haku-chan, we are already dating so it has to go above the rule. Naruto told her honestly, not understanding why a boyfriend-girlfriend couldn't show love to their lover anytime they wanted. He then gained a sly smirk on his face and sat up and faced towards her. Besides, aren't you supposed to make sure I feel comfortable while I am here? He told her, making the girl blush. Still, she kept her willpower and began to heal his arm as well as she could while trying her best to ignore her boyfriend's eyes. This continued on with Naruto trying to tease her while she worked. Still, she was holding up strong, or at least trying to, while mentally complaining about the fact that Naruto picked this time of all times to act a bit perverted. Sadly for her, she was so focused on keeping up her professional experience she completely didn't notice Naruto's next plan. So, she let out a startled "eep" as Naruto grabbed her with his other hand and somehow spun her around so that she was now sitting on his lap. "Naruto-kun," she called out, surprised and a bit annoyed with him doing this to her. She then tried to get up only for Naruto to wrap his good arm around her waist. Naruto then leaned over her shoulder, unintentionally breathing on her neck, causing her to shiver in his lap. "I just wanted you to get a better look at my arm. It seemed like this would be a bit easier for you," Naruto told her with a smirk on his face. No wonder why Eros Sennin loves being around women so much. Teasing her is just too much fun. Naruto though happily. Meanwhile, what he didn't know is that due to leaving his face so close to her neck, he kept on blowing warm air down her neck, causing goosebumps on her skin. "Naru-kun," Haku muttered with a dark blush on her face. Well, I suppose he is right that we were already dating before I came here. And he technically is my master, so I have to work on all his needs," Haku thought with her willpower finally broken. She then started to grind on Naruto's lap, trying to get a rise out of the blonde. Haku," Naruto muttered, surprised only to not be able to talk as she turned her head to give him a messy kiss. A kiss that broke his own willpower within moments as he let his lower head think more and more. Due to this, he simply enjoyed her grinding as he moved his hand to begin fondling her breast to hear her moan softly in his ear. She only let this go on for a few moments before getting off of the blonde and pushing him back to lay on the bed. An action that confused the blonde as he, without thinking, turned himself around to lay properly on the bed. Soon after he did this, Haku quickly sat down right on his crotch, looking down at Naruto with lust in her eyes. Naruto then looked over her and growled in annoyance at the fact she was still completely clothed. So, he quickly brought his hands up to her waist and slowly began pulling down her pants, not even taking the time to worry about having to deal with the fact she was sitting. The both heard coming from the entrance to the room and froze. The both glanced over slowly and saw Tsunade with Shizune behind her, blushing. Course, sadly for them, Tsunade wasn't blushing and was instead glaring at the couple. "This is a place for healing," Tsunade told them coldly, looking down at Naruto. "I am blaming you for this due to training under that damn pervert," she told him while giving him a glare that just dared him to make a comment. She then looked over at Haku. "As for you, I want you back to work. I will take over here," she told Haku before sniffing the air. "Actually, I think it is best for you to change your panties and maybe even your pants. Don't want your scent to excite every male in here," Tsunade told her, causing Haku's face to go completely red as she rushed out of the room to do just that. "See, can men really do that?" Shizune asked, surprised seeing as she didn't smell anything. "Sigh, not unless they're from the Inuzuka clan. I just needed to make sure she remembered not to try and show her love while at work," Tsunade told her student with a smirk on her face. After all, she was sure the embarrassment the girl felt would make this day stick in her head for ages. Hell, she would be surprised if the girl didn't try to avoid every single male on her way home until she finally figured out how ridiculous the idea of men being able to smell out a girl's juice that easily. "As for you, damn brat, lay right the fuck there and let me take a look at that arm. And I swear if you try anything like that, I will beat you hard enough to have to stay in here for a month," Tsunade told him with a smile that scared the blonde shitless. "Why yes, be ba-chan," Naruto mumbled, hoping to escape her wrath even if only some of it. "I really have to take notes about how Tsunade-sama takes care of all these weird situations around here, though I never expected Naruto-san to be that forward," Shizune thought with a blush as her mind went to a man doing that to her before she shook those thoughts away and simply watched her master work. Not that she wouldn't revisit the idea at a later time though. _Shikamaru__ After giving his report to Tsunade, Shikamaru walked calmly back to his house and simply jumped up on the roof and began to cloud watch. A few seconds later he brought a cigarette to his lips and lit it. Sensei, I hope wherever you end up when you die, you are happy. You left a lot behind in your untimely death, but don't worry, I will make sure it is taken care of. Shikamaru thought before taking a drag from his smoke, thinking about his teacher's unborn child. But at least we got revenge for you. I know you normally wouldn't want us to fall into the revenge mindset, but for that monster I think you would understand. On the bright side, thanks to the information you gathered, it gave me the perfect plan for making sure that monster sleeps in the dirt permanently. He thought with a sad smile as he got lost in his thoughts. A problem that soon worked itself out when his smoke burnt down enough that it burned his fingers. Lost in thought, his father asked, laying down next to his son. Yay. Shikamaru muttered, lighting another cigarette and letting his father take one as well. They both took a deep breath before finally saying something. You know, I have been through the same problem before. Shikaku told him, much to his son's surprise. It may have not been my main instructor, but it still was one of my instructors, he adds, taking another breath of smoke in. It sucks, but as you know, life goes on. All you can do is make sure that you become a man that they would be proud of. Shikaku told him before they just laid in silence enjoying the clouds. Thanks, Shikamaru eventually muttered to his dad, who simply nodded as they soon realized the cigarette burnt away completely. Now come on, we better head in before your mother comes for us. After all, I doubt your sensei wants to meet you this early. Shikaku told him with a small smirk, jumping down from the roof knowing that Shikamaru would copy him after thinking through his thoughts a bit more. After all, even if he was depressed, he wouldn't want to anger the beast. I mean his lovely wife. Hokage Tower, Tsunade's office. After looking over Naruto herself, Tsunade kept a frown on her face but said about the blonde's health, besides ordering him to stay in the hospital bed for a few days, which might have included a promise of punishment if he didn't follow her orders. Instead, she simply turned to Shizune, ordering the girl to get Yamato and Kakashi immediately. Why yes, Lady Tsunade, Shizune told her master before quickly rushing out of the room. Hey Ba-chan, what's wrong? Naruto asked, curious. Just wait till they show up. She growled at Naruto, who wisely shut up, hearing the rage in her tone. Luckily enough, due to both of the men just leaving their meeting, they didn't need much time at all to join Tsunade. Hokage-sama, what do you need? Yamato asked politely, hoping that the rage she was clearly showing wasn't for them. I want to know what the hell you idiots taught this idiots right now. She ordered them while pointing at Naruto, who was simply confused. Still, they just shared a look before Yamato spoke again. All we really did was give him tips in how to increase his element and kept his problem from hampering him. The rest was all him. Yamato told her honestly. Sigh, then I guess your idiocy somehow even goes over into any jutsu you create, even if it is mostly chakra manipulation. Tsunade growled, looking at Naruto. What do you mean, Ba-chan? Yes, the idea of it may be a bit simple, but this jutsu is crazy good. I mean, you heard what it did to the Akatsuki member. Naruto told her, only to slightly jump in surprise when her fist landed on a table near him, thankfully without using her super strength, letting it stand another day. What I mean is, you managed to make a jutsu that belongs in the damn scroll we have. Really? Naruto asked with a wide smile until he was lightly smacked in the back of the head. That isn't a good thing, damn brat. Tsunade tells him before sighing to try and quell some of her rage. This jutsu, while effective, has a side effect. Those wind blades seem to attack your body as well before it hits an opponent. Hence why your arm got so mangled. Now normally I wouldn't be so annoyed by backlash like this being used if sparingly, but in your case it has destroyed parts of your arm on a cellular level. Something that, if not for both your healing methods, would have kept you in the hospital for months instead of a few days. And before you start even with your advanced healing, it still killed off countless amounts of cells which your body had to replace. She explains before shaking her head. Naruto, I hereby order you to only use that jutsu as a last resort, and I mean last resort, don't even use it in your training sessions. She tell him, much to his shock. But Ba-chan, it is my best attack. I mean, I can get the kinks out of it in time. Naruto began, only to get interrupted. That was not a suggestion, Naruto. It was an order. What you can't get through your thick head is that your cells can only divide for so long. If you keep forcing them to rapidly divide over and over again, especially in large quantities like this jutsu, then you may just cut your career short. Tsunade told him, shocking the blonde. If you use up all the times your cells will divide, then eventually your arm will simply have nothing left to replace the dead tissue, making it so that at best you will have an arm you no longer can use, or at worst a limb that will have to be removed completely. Tsunade told him, completely serious. She then gently patted him on his back. Now just keep that in mind, but for now know you did a good job. Get some rest, brat. She told him with a small smirk before walking out of the room with Shizune following after her, thus leaving Naruto with his teachers. Soon after she left, Naruto grit his teeth and clenched his uninjured hand into a fist. Damn it! Naruto growled out, slamming his hand into the bed. Just when I feel like I get ahead, something else comes to kick me down. He mutters, frustrated. Ma, now Naruto, don't worry too much. You will get stronger as you grow and get experience. In all honesty, you probably are as strong, or if not stronger, than what I was at your age. Just keep training and I am sure we will figure out some way to get rid of opponents such as the Akatsuki. Just make sure you put your girls ahead of that before you lose something truly special. Kakashi told him before whispering out the last part. Kakashi-sensei. Naruto muttered out, surprised, but before anyone could stop him, the gray-haired ninja disappeared. Cough. Don't worry Naruto, as much as I know Kakashi-san, I am sure he will back to his old self in a while. Just get well soon. Yamato tells him with a small fake smile before leaving the blonde in the room by himself. Not that the blonde noticed, simply too lost in his thoughts. Oddmake, or whatever you wanna call it, ++. Come on Naruto please, Ayame begs Naruto as he ate his ramen at the stand. Why do you want me to demonstrate to your friends anyways? Naruto asked, curious. Well, like I said before, as civilians are always curious about what ninjas are actually like, besides some of the justice you guys use is quite amazing. Ayame explains. Yay, you are right about that, Naruto muttered with a sweat drop, thinking about the fact that the ninja had flashy techniques but let it go quickly after. Well, I'm not busy, so why not? After all, I haven't spent time with you in what seems like ages, Naruto told her. Yay. It has been a little while, but don't worry, I have been prepared for that to happen when I decided to date a ninja. Ayame told him, then gave him a hug. And even with the weird times, it was still worth it to be with my Naru-kun. She added with a smile. Hey, love you to Ayame-chan. Naruto told her with a smile on his face as well. So, where are we gonna meet these people and when? Naruto asks after finishing the last bit of his ramen. We can go right now. I happen to know that they have nothing planned today. Ayame told him. Hey, well, let's go. Naruto told her, standing up and quickly put some money on the table. Do you mind? Naruto asks awkwardly, remembering that Kyuki had her working today. Hey, it's fine, just keep my girl happy. He told them, waving off the two youngsters. Thank you, daddy. Ayame told him, giving him a quick hug and kiss on the cheek. Okay Naruto, just wait right here and I'll be back after changing. She told him, entering their home. Hey, well, I guess I have time for at least one more bowl. Naruto tells the older man, making him chuckle. Still only a few minutes later, Ayame came rushing back to them, now dressed in normal clothes. After that, they quickly went through the village until they came to a decent-sized house. Ayame then happily knocks on the door and waited. Soon enough the door opened, showing a girl who quickly gained a large smile when she saw Ayame. You are finally here. The girl says, happily giving Ayame a hug. And this is your boyfriend, right? She asks, looking over at Naruto. Yup, this is Naruto-kun. Ayame told her. Perfect. Now come on in. The girl told them as they all went through the door. And after passing the door frame, Naruto noticed that there were loads of decorations set up around the living room and several girls were happily chatting. Ayame, you came. They all finally said, noticing the girl come in. Of course, I did. I wouldn't miss your birthday. She told the girl happily. Birthday? Naruto muttered, confused, especially seeing as he hasn't even been introduced to any of the girls here yet. Oh, and as for a gift, I brought my Naru-kun over. Ayame told the girl, who became just as confused as Naruto. Hehe, I already got him to agree to show us some of his techniques, like being able to transform into anything he wants. Ayame adds, but the girl was still clearly confused. Sigh, You have always told me of the people you wanted to take pictures with, well here is your chance. Ayame explains, making the woman's eyes widen in realization. She then rushed out of the room and quickly brought over a large camera and several other pieces of equipment. Thank you A-chan. Let's get this started. The woman states happily as she got everything set up. Meanwhile Naruto leaned into Ayame and whispered into her ear. What exactly is going on? Hee. I sort of just told her that you would transform into the famous actors and such that she has always wanted pictures of. I am Naruto asks with an eyebrow raised. Please Naruto. I already told her that this would be her birthday gift, she would be devastated if we cancel it when we are already at this point. Ayame told him with puppy eyes. I promise that our next date will be just us and special. Ayame told him. Sigh, I guess I'll go with it, but it would have been nice to know beforehand. Naruto told her with a small glare. He then watched as Ayame simply stuck her lounge out at him. If I did that then I probably wouldn't have even gotten you this far. Ayame told him. Now just work hard for me in this and I will make sure to pay you back in the future. She told him, clearly not feeling bad at all about using him for his abilities. You are lucky you are cute Ayame-chan. Naruto thinks, shaking his head. For while he was a bit annoyed about this situation, he wasn't super annoyed. After all, for all the things Ayame has done for him, this little bit of trouble wasn't anything he couldn't handle. I just wish you could talk to me about this beforehand. Naruto thought. Well come on, let's get started. The girl finally told them with the camera all set up. After which Naruto spent what seemed like an eternity turning into various people and in some occasion things. All the while the girls around him giggled and enjoyed themselves. Sometimes just looking at him, sometimes forcing him to do various poses, and even sometimes posing with him. This is hell, come on Naruto, just remember you are doing this for Ayame-chan. Naruto thought, not enjoying this process at all, but he still couldn't help but think that he was happy to see Ayame smiling and having fun. Ramen stand equals. While the party was going on, Tyuki was happily manning his shop while laughing a bit. For while he had no idea what Ayame had planned, he did know that she had a great idea of having Naruto help her with a gift for her friend. He didn't mention it to Naruto, seeing as he felt it was only proper for the biggest prankster. He knew to finally get a prank pulled on him. Hey, you have learned a lot while you have been growing up Naruto-kun, but you still are oblivious to just how smart and sneaky women can be when they have something they want. But I think I will just enjoy watching as you try to figure out just why most men accept that their wife has the pants in the relationship, Tyuki thought as he worked. Chapter 59. This is so boring. Naruto complained, falling back on his hospital bed. For while it has been a full day since he got admitted, Tsunade still refused to let him leave the hospital until she officially released him. Not to mention, to make it worse, Haku was making it even worse by not letting him escape. The girl seemed to almost have a radar of some sort, for as soon as he tried to leave the hospital, she managed to get in front of him and forced him back into his room. And now he couldn't even try and tease her into letting him have his way due to her refusing to let him treat her any different than any other nurse in fear of what Tsunade told her. Still, he was thrown from his thoughts when he heard a gentle knock on the door. Come in. Naruto told the person, who turned out to be Ayame, trying to balance a large bowl in one arm while trying to open the door with another. Ayame-chan. Naruto called out happily to the girl. Hey Naruto-kun, how are you feeling? Ayame asked, concerned. Hey, I feel fine now, just waiting on Ba-chan to let me out of this damn place. Naruto told her, flexing his arms only to flinch as he felt pain from his still healing arm. Hey, okay, so maybe I do need to heal a bit more. Naruto told her, a bit embarrassed. Sigh, I am sure Lady Tsunade knows best. Just lay down and let that arm heal. She told him, placing the bowl on a table near him. Course I heard from Haku that you aren't exactly making it easy on her. Ayame says with a glare, making Naruto flinch back a bit. Hee about that. Naruto laughed nervously. Damn it, I love these girls, but man, they can be scary at times. And she isn't even a ninja, for fuck's sake. Naruto thought, laying down on his bed simply to avoid her. Thankfully Naruto was spared her glare when she simply shook her head in Naruto's childishness. What are we going to do with you, Naruto? She told him with a small smirk, only to hear Naruto's stomach growl. Hey, how about this Naruto-kun, if you stay in your bed and be a good boy, I will make sure that you get a bowl or two of ramen brought to you. Ayame told him, laughing at the fact that Naruto quickly gained a sparkle in his eye as he quickly nodded his head. Well, okay then. Dig in, she told him, opening the bowl's cover showing it to be ramen. Thank you, Ayame-chan, Naruto said happily and began to dig in. Meanwhile, Ayame just was watching with a small smile on her face. At least I can help you with this, she mumbled just loud enough for Naruto to barely hear her. What do you mean? He asked her, slowing down his feasting. I mean, while you and your team were out risking your life, all I could was stay in the shop hoping for your safe return. Ayame admitted, squeezing her fists a little in anger. Ayame-chan, yes, we risk our lives, but we are ninja. It is what we do, Naruto told her gently. But why? Why do you have to risk your life just for a paycheck? Each time you leave I am terrified it will be the last time I see you, she told him, beginning to cry. Meanwhile, Naruto just looked at her for just a moment before putting the bowl down to give her his full attention. Ayame, yes, I won't lie, the life of a ninja is dangerous, but we take every precaution to make it as safe as possible, Naruto told her honestly. But look at you now. You are stuck in the hospital due to mangling your arm. She raised her voice at him. Yes, but to be honest, this damage was truly due to my own attack, Naruto told her honestly. Though in all honesty, even if something did happen, it is just part of the job, Naruto told her, not making the girl feel any better. A fact that he quickly noticed and tried to think of a way to fix this. But if it makes you feel better, I will make sure that I try to be safer out on missions. And even learn some medical jutsu. Okay, Naruto told her. But you still may not make it back, she mumbled, making Naruto sigh and sit up. He then quickly wrapped his good arm around the girl. Ayame-chan, I honestly don't know what to tell you to make you feel better, Naruto quietly told her, due to basically speaking right into her ear. Being a ninja is the career I picked for myself, and to be quite honest, one I enjoy. Now I know that simply due to you being a civilian you don't know, but to us ninja, Konoha is our home. A home that we would gladly give our life to protect. Especially for me, seeing as I know that if I fail then you could end up being the one I lose, Naruto explained to her. But I wouldn't have you, Ayame told him. That may be true, but you would know that I gave my life to protect you and doing the job I love, Naruto told her honestly. In all honesty, I don't know what to tell you to make you feel better. Just know that I will do everything in my power to make it so that your fears don't become a reality, Naruto ended, knowing that it wasn't the best thing to tell her, but he was trying his hardest to help her. After all, he never been a civilian to know what she was truly feeling. Fine, Ayame mumbled, not truly feeling better but knew that Naruto was trying his best. She simply put on a small smile. Just make sure you take care of yourself, she told him simply. I promise I'll be careful, Naruto told her honestly, not wanting to put her through worrying about him again. Ayame then seemed to gain a bit more of a real smile while grabbing the now empty bowl. Good. Now I need to head back to the stand before Pa gets too overworked, Ayame told him, walking to the door only to stop just as she reached it. Oh, and Naruto, remember our deal. Be good for the workers here and I will make sure you get some ramen each day, she told him, making him get a large smile. But if I hear that you keep trying to escape instead of healing, then I will make sure you don't see even a single noodle for at least a month, Ayame added with a dark look on her face. Alright, Naruto told her, trying to stop himself from shaking in fear. Have a good day, Ayame told him, quickly changing back to a small smile that stayed on her face until she shut the door. After shutting it, her smile quickly left her face and was replaced with a small frown. Naruto-kun, I know you really were trying your hardest to make me feel better, but I just can't help but worry about you and the other girls now that I have become good friends with them, Ayame thought as she walked down the hall. As she was walking, she really couldn't help but still think about the dangers of a ninja's life, but was pulled from her thoughts when a few of the hospital staff rushed by, pushing a man on a stretcher through nearby doors. Doors which ended up leading to what was an emergency room whose light quickly was turned on. She then saw a woman who looked to be in her 30s sit down on a bench opening up a small book. What is going on? I mean, to want to sit on those benches, she must be a loved one of that man, but instead of worrying she is just reading a book. Is she just not worried, or is just pretending to not be worried? Ayame thought, confused. Can I help you, dear? The woman asked Ayame, who blushed a bit out of embarrassment of being caught staring. Sorry for staring. I was just confused that you are, Ayame admitted, but was unable to think of a way to politely ask her real thoughts. Worried? The woman asked, getting a small nod from Ayame. She then closed her book and turned her complete focus to the conversation. Dear, don't get me wrong, but after the years of worrying about my husband, I just have learned ways to make it a bit more bearable. The woman told her honestly. How? Ayame asked, sitting down with the woman, hoping to get some help with her own problem. I take it that you have a loved one currently in here, the woman told Ayame, but clearly was waiting to hear her name. Ayame: and yes, but thankfully he just needs time to heal now. Ayame told her honestly. But I am sorry that your husband is injured, Mrs. Sumi, the woman told her with a small smile. And like I said, I am sadly well aware of what I was getting into when I fell in love with him. She admitted, showing Ayame that even though she said she was used to it, she still showed at least some worry about the current procedure. It truly is hard to let loved ones live the lives they want. Ayame muttered, having a feeling that the man had the same thought process that Naruto did. Yes, it is, and I am sad to say that it never truly gets easier for us to simply hope for their safety. The best you can do is simply try to understand their thought process while they try and understand ours. Sumi explained, confusing Ayame. You see, I imagine that you have already had at least one conversation with your loved one already. She assumed, getting a nod from Ayame as confirmation. Well, if it was anything like how Hataru tried to explain, it really didn't help your fears too much. Well, now just try and imagine trying to understand what it truly feels to be a ninja. She tells Ayame. Wait, so you mean just try to imagine myself fighting and taking missions? Ayame asked, getting a small chuckle. No, Ayame-san. What I mean is, have you ever thought about why they seem to love the career? Not for the random guy's thoughts of saving a princesses or being so strong you get in the history books, but instead imagine the true feelings. The honor they get from being the protectors of the entire village, the pride they place in living up to what wearing that headband means, and most importantly the idea of that if they just gave up and didn't fight to protect, then who would? Sumi told her. What it means to be a ninja, she is right. I never really thought about it other than the basics, and that they often get hurt and killed. Ayame thought, realizing she never thought about it that way. You are right, I never really took that into consideration. Ayame admitted. Sumi just kept a small smile at her admitting this. Well, hopefully you will be able to be a bit more understanding when you have to eventually meet your loved ones here. I am not telling you to just stop worrying, but it gets a bit easier when you understand their side as well. And in all honesty, I truly hope that you don't have to come in here that often. Sumi told her. Thank you. You truly have given me a lot to think about, and I think I will have to talk to him again after I get my thoughts together. Ayame told her honestly, feeling a bit better now that her thoughts had another focal point. And I hope that you don't have to wait too long for him to get better. Ayame told her with a small real smile. You are welcome, dear. Now you probably should head out if you are done visiting. Don't worry, I will be fine. Hataru is too stubborn to let mere injuries keep him from coming home to his favorite dinner. She joked with Ayame, giving the younger girl a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Still, upon saying this, she went back to her book, simply waiting for her husband to come out of surgery. So, Ayame simply accepted the order and left to help out her father. Naruto. After Ayame left, Naruto couldn't help but be annoyed with himself at how he handled her concerns. Gah, why did I just let her leave when I knew that I truly didn't help her? What kind of a dick am I that just let her leave while worrying about something that isn't her fault? I have to go try again. Naruto thought, determined to try again, and began pulling himself out of the bed, only to freeze for a moment when he thought about the rest of their conversation. But she did say that she would take away ramen from me if I tried to escape again, and I doubt she would be all that happy to find out that I did just that to see her. Oh, I would get that face again. Naruto thought, with a shiver going down his back. He now was truly stuck between two different ideas with no real idea which to pick. Hello, Naruto, and what do you think you were going to do? Sakura said to him as she opened the door yet again, only to see the blonde look like he was going for an escape, again. Nothing, Sakura-chan. Naruto told Sakura, terrified of dealing with her rage. It better be nothing. Sakura mutters before wailing over to him. Now lay back down, it is time for another scan. Sakura orders him, then quickly activated the jutsu and slowly moved her glowing hand over Naruto's arm as the blonde sat patiently. She then smiled at the blonde. Good news Naruto, your healing rate makes it so that you should be able to leave either tomorrow or the day after. Sakura told him, getting a cheer from the blonde. That doesn't mean you can be loud. This is still a hospital, baka. Sakura growls out at him before sighing. Listen Naruto, I know you don't like the hospital, but we truly are trying to do what's best for you, even if you have a cheaty amount of healing. Sakura told him, muttering the last part. I know you are now, but it doesn't make me like them anymore. Naruto mutters. Meanwhile, Nadeshiko village. For the last time, she already has a husband. Takiwa growled out at a man that clearly looked to be trying his hardest to be cool. They currently were standing in the main building of the village with Takiwa preventing the man from going any further. Note in this story, I am just going to have Shizuka's parents be alive even though there is no mention of them. As to why they let her be married off, they are stuck in tradition where the village would riot if changed. Note that certain examples of crazy people going after this may change it in the future, plus they are busy with work, so Shizuka's training mainly falls on the strict, to the code Takiwa. I don't see a ring on her finger yet. Just let me talk to the leaders and I will explain why I am such a better choice than whatever muscle-bound fool you found for her. Kokuyo told her, not bothered by the fact that she clearly was restraining herself from wanting to kill the man. Due to complications between villages, we are working on a plan that will be best for both of our villages. So, the marriage won't be for a while longer. Which again is why you should let me have a chance. I mean when I mean we become the leader of the village, we will make sure it prospers in the correct way. He adds in with a smirk. So, just let me face Shizuka, Kokuyo tells her, making her glare even more at the man. Her name is Shizuka, Takiwa told him. Yay, he told her, waving off his mistake, clearly not caring. Why you? Takiwa, what is going on? Shizuka asks as she walks into the building to see the argument. Perfect, just the girl I wanted to see. Kokuyo said with a smirk, turning his attention to her. I have come to the village to challenge you for your hand in marriage. He told her, not even trying to stop his eyes from wandering around her body. I already have a betrothed. She told him, already disliking the man. Hey, but I don't see a ring on that finger. You should still be fair game. He told her with a smile. Come on, let's just have a match. He tells her, and Shizuka quickly looks the man over and sees that he clearly wasn't too much of a fighter simply due to the way he dressed and muscle definition. Fine, Shizuka tells him, making him smile a bit more. Shizuka-sama. Takiwa began, only to be stopped by the girl. If you are already this worked up, I imagine this creep has been pushing for a while. It would be easier just for me to beat this idiot and send him packing rather than explain our ways. Shizuka explained, walking outside with Kokuyo following behind her, though she had to resist the urge to turn around and hit him right then as she felt his lecherous eyes rest solely on her butt. Disgusting creep, she thought, annoyed. Still, she managed to control herself and walked just outside of the building and stood a few feet away from the man. A battle area that she normally would disapprove of, but was confident in the fact that the fight truly was going to be lackluster. Are both fighters ready? Takiwa asked, clearly not happy with the fight. She then waited till they got a nod from both of them, then begin. She tells them and watched as Shizuka got into a defensive stance while Kokuyo just stood there with a smirk on his face. What are you giving up already? Shizuka asked the man. He then just chuckled and let a smoke bomb drop from his hand, blocking him from view for a few seconds. In that time, he somehow brought out what looked to be a large puppet that was nearly 2 times the size of him with a large number 1. Ready to watch the might of my puppet destroy you, he told her. Still, Shizuka was unfazed by the large puppet and charged at it with chakra coating her limbs and quickly slammed her fist directly into the center of the painted-on number. As soon as she did this, the puppet quickly broke apart around her fist, much to even her shock. Well, that was a bit underwhelming, Shizuka thought with a sweat drop. Still, she refocused back on Kokuyo, who just stood there looking at his now destroyed puppet. Damn you, I will get you for this, Kokuyo called out and quickly retreated from the village, much to the shock most people that watched the fight. The bastard accepted the terms of the fight but didn't even have the honor to finish it through to the very end. Takiwa growled out, annoyed, and was getting ready to hunt down the fool only to be stopped by Shizuka. Don't bother. As much as I want to get rid of that disgusting man, it is not worth our effort. After all, I could hardly call that a fight. Shizuka told her, making Takiwa stop as well. She wasn't happy by any means but understood where the girl was coming from. Sadly, that wasn't the last they saw of Kokuyo, because a week after the first fight, he came back yet again and confronted Shizuka again. "Why are you back?" she asked, annoyed. "I am here to challenge you again, Shizuka, and this time I will be the winner." He told her, only for her to glare at him. "You already lost, that is it. There isn't do-overs, you are just lucky that I don't kill you right now." She growls out at him, clearly wanting him just to leave her alone. "Grr, that is how your village works. If you aren't married, you are fair game to be challenged," he told her, annoyed. "No, you are just a fool that is lucky that I don't kill you. Don't even pretend like you know anything about my village's traditions besides the very basic and perverse." Shizuka growled out, hating the man even more. "Grr, damn you, that's not how it works. I challenge you," he told her, clearly showing that he wasn't going to take no for an answer. "Sigh, fine, but this time if you lose I will kill you," she warned him. "If only just to get rid of you bothering me and possibly any other girl in my village. Now come on, let's go find someone to officiate," she told him, walking into the village to find someone. Soon afterward they found themselves in a training ground facing each other yet again, with a random ninja being the judge. And yet again he was quick to bring out yet another large puppet to face her with, thought this time it had a 2 on its front. Now, much to her surprise, yet again with the first enhanced punch she tore through it almost as easily as before. "Wow, that was underwhelming yet again," Shizuka muttered, annoyed that he wasn't even a slight challenge for her. Still, this time she was determined to get rid of her problem once and for all and quickly changed her target to him. Sadly for her though, he was able to quickly dodge her blow, but clearly was a lot less confident now that his perfect machine was destroyed. "Grr, damn you, woman," Kokuyo growled out, quickly reaching into his bag and pulled out several kunai that he sloppily threw at the girl. Course each one of them had an explosive seal that she quickly had to jump back from to avoid the blast radius. While she did this, he quickly threw down several more smoke bombs covering the field in smoke. Though she did notice a blur coming out the other side as she was in the air. "No, you are not escaping your fate again," Shizuka told him, and quickly jumped into the smoke cloud ready to chase after him. Sadly she couldn't get far before she noticed several small fires hidden in the smoke. "Shit," she muttered and dived to the side out of the cloud just as it all blew up. After she finally got her bearing after she dodged, Kokuyo was long gone yet again. "Damn him," she yelled out in rage, punching a nearby tree. "Do you want us to send out a squad to find him?" the random ninja asked her, surprised that the man was that much of a wuss. "Grr, no, that piece of garbage probably is already hiding away like the coward he is. I am just going to make sure that he never steps foot in our village again," she told the women before walking back into the village, wanting to speak with her parents about blacklisting the man. Weeks passed, and even though she did manage to get him blacklisted from visiting their village and basically placed on an attack on sight list near the village. Sadly, even with all of this setup, he still was somehow able to find her several times. And each time he did so, instead of asking, he just attacked her with some sort of puppet and then escaped by the skin of his teeth before she could kill him. At this point Shizuka was getting so angry at dealing with him that she was determined to kill this man each time he showed up, only to get more upset when she failed each time. Eventually their village was getting so annoyed with trying to catch Kokuyo that the very mention of anything related to the man would anger any of the ninja. A fact that made Shizuka's parents finally putting aside their own duties to try and deal with the problem. Which led to her current situation, which was standing in front of her mother's desk. "Shizuka-chan, I think you are well aware of why I have to speak with you," her mother told her, noting her daughter clearly still angry. "Yes, mother," Shizuka admitted, angry but yet embarrassed that her mother had to get involved with her problem. "I know that scum has been causing issues, but I promise that I will deal with him as soon as I can catch the bastard. He is more slippery than the snake," she growled out. "I am well aware of how slippery that man is, due to somehow almost always managing to find you if you get even close to the village gate. But due to this your training has suffered, and on a larger scale the entire village is now constantly stuck in high alert. Due to this I think it is time we deal with the problem in the only realistic way we have left," Shizuka's mother told her, frowning. "I am sorry, Shizuka, I didn't want to force you into it so soon, but tomorrow you will head out to Konoha so that we can set up your wedding. She finished, shocking the girl. But you said I still had a few years. She stuttered out. Yes, but that bastard is using the loophole that you aren't actually married to bother the village. So, we are simply going to take that option away, leaving that man's plan completely destroyed. She told her daughter, seeing as she couldn't send out all of her ninja to hunt down one man that, other than being a pest, was really not a real threat. Course Shizuka really wasn't listening, as much lost in her thoughts. Getting married to Naruto, Shizuka thought with a blush on her face. For after being comforted by him and getting a bit more over her first love's death, she really began thinking about her relationship with the blonde more. Currently though, she couldn't help but start thinking about consummating their marriage, with her blush getting even worse. Still, a part of her couldn't help but feel like she was betraying Sagiri. Her mother watched the emotions running across her daughter's face until frowning when it settled on a depressed look. So, with a heavy sigh, she stood up from behind the desk and walked around to wrap her in a hug. Oh, Shizuka-chan, I know you aren't ready for something as big as marriage, but at least it is to someone you like. And I know it isn't your true love, but at least it was a man brave enough to fake his identity just to help someone he barely knew. She told her, making the girl's eye widen. What do you mean? Shizuka asked, shocked only to see her mother have a small smile on her face. This Naruto boy may have created a disguise that was good enough to fool most the village, but I could see through it. I just didn't comment on it so that you could marry out of love instead of our village's laws. Her mother admitted, shocking the girl. But you have always been someone who went by the book for the village's ancient laws. Shizuka told her mother. Yes, my dear, but not by choice. Her mother admitted. You see, when I was your age I had the same thoughts but never met the one to fall in love with. Still, even though I ended up liking the man I ended up with, I was more than ready to change the rules for the better until I realized why my mother didn't do it herself. The village didn't want it. Her mother admitted. You see, while I am the leader of the village, I still need to listen to the wants of the people. And for the rest of the people in my generation, they were all more focused on keeping the village as it was. So, if I did change the rules, they would most likely revolt against me. But in all honesty, I know for a fact that with the newer generation you could very well be the one to change it, just after you become one of the last stuck to it. Shizuka's mother admitted, shocking Shizuka even more by seeing a side of her mother that she never saw before. She was going to comment on this only to get her mother to place a finger on her lips, stopping her. I know I just gave you a lot of surprise, but I still need to give you my advice, as a mother, not as your leader. She told her. What happened to your first love was nothing short of a tragedy, but it wasn't one you called. While it was unfortunate, it would have happened even if you didn't make everyone believe he was a strong fighter. Now if he truly loved you, then he would want you still to be happy in life, even if that means falling in love again. So, don't feel bad that you are falling in love again, just go with it and hopefully he will be able to help heal the scars left on your heart. She told Shizuka softly before putting a gentle hand on her shoulder. Just think about it, her mother told her before leaving the girl to her own thoughts. Meanwhile, relatively nearby building Kokuyo was currently sitting down at his desk looking through reports until he saw an employee come into the room. Sir, can I please speak to you? The man asked politely but clearly concerned. Sigh, what is it, Soma? Kokuyo asked, annoyed, but had to listen to his financial advisor. Well sir, this new plan of going after the ninja village is becoming more foolish by the day. You have not only been having several of our lead builders working solely on your puppets only for them to be destroyed by the girl. Not only that, but you have already used 40% of the company's reserves on chakra conductive metal and wood for said projects. I strongly recommend we simply cut our costs with this endeavor and work on rebuilding the company back to a stable condition. Soma told Kokuyo, hoping that he would see reason. Ah, Soma, I can understand what you are saying, truly I can. But you aren't seeing the big picture here. For after I get my lovely ninja as a wife, she will take control of the whole female village. Then after that I simply need to make her obedient, and then we will have control of the village instead. Now it may be costly right now, but after we get control we will have a team to take care of any of our competition. We will be able to make more money than ever before. Kokuyo tells him with a large smile on his face, clearly imagining himself controlling the world. But sir, Soma began only to stop when Kokuyo glared at him. Listen, I just told you it will be fine in the end. If you can't handle the stress right now, then I am afraid that there is no place here for you, but I like Yasoma, I truly do. So, let me tell you a secret. Kokuyo told him, getting closer to the man. If you stay on and simply make sure we get our supplies coming smoothly, I will make sure you have a great reward at the end of this. He told him with a perverse grin. After all, when I control the village, I would happily make sure that you end up with one of the beauties living there that you can do anything you want with. He told Soma, who looked surprised. Late director, my father began working for you for years and then I came and took his place. We literally watched as you built this company up to be great. I hate to say it, but your sweet son ended up so power hungry that he simply can't see past his lust. Soma thought sadly. But I will stay with it and hopefully be able to salvage it after this plan truly comes to its end, Soma added, in determined to try and salvage the business his family worked for years on. Okay, I will try and figure out the numbers, Soma told Kokuyo, who gained a large smile, patting him on the back. Good to hear. Now go and make sure we have the resources we need for my puppets. Kokuyo told him, shoving the man out. Soma then walked down past several areas where loads of extravagant puppets were in various stages of construction. He then glanced over to the other side of the building where a few workers that had some control of their chakra were working on sealing up and numbering scrolls that held the already completed weapons for Kokuyo to use to fight later on. Ha ha ha, Shizuka-chan, before you know it you will be mine. Kokuyo thought happily and began laughing like a crazy. Back at Village Lime, warning in beginning asterisk tilde. Naruto-kun, what are you doing here? Shizuka asked, shocked to see the blonde sitting on her couch just as the sun began rise. Well, Shizuka-chan, I got thinking and just had to see you. He told Shizuka, walking up to her with a smile on his face. He then got close enough that she could feel his warm breath on her, and for some reason she just couldn't move. What are you doing? She asked, blushing. I just couldn't wait anymore. Naruto told her before leaning in and finally pressed his lips on her lips. And much to her shock, he began to kiss her passionately while she was frozen in shock. She simply stood there with her eyes wide and open in surprise as Naruto explored every inch of her mouth. Eventually though, he slowly pulled away, letting the stunned girl watch as a strand of saliva connected their mouths for several seconds. You are my wife, Shizuka-chan. Let me show you how I can take care of your needs. Naruto told her in a sultry voice. We aren't married yet. Shizuka stuttered out at him but couldn't help but start to feel a bit excited at his boldness, much to her embarrassment. Since when did I ever follow the rules? He told her before picking her up in a princess carry, making the girl let out a startled eep. He then quickly brought her back to her room and dropped her on the bed. He then quickly shed off his shirt and pants, leaving him in just his boxers. Wait, my parents are right next door. Shizuka told him, concerned only to see Naruto smile. Well, we better make sure you stay quiet as you get your sample. He tells her with lust in his eyes. He then got onto the bed himself and quickly reached underneath her clothes and began groping her breast with one hand and traced her lower lips with his other hand. An action that made the girl bite her finger to hold back the moaning. He eventually seemed to get annoyed with the clothes and quickly tore off her shirt and pants, leaving Shizuka a blushing mess in just her underwear as well. Still, he paid no mind to this and quickly descended on her, capturing her lips yet again while pushing her panties to the side, and began to explore her inner walls with 2 fingers. For someone that seemed so against it, you sure seem to be pretty excited. Naruto told her, showing his fingers which were coated with her glistening fluids. Naruto-kun, Shizuka muttered, blushing hard at being found out. Well, I better not leave you waiting, huh, Shizuka? Naruto told her with a smile before beginning to push down his tented boxers slowly. Though all of a sudden Naruto stopped pulling them down and instead looked directly at her. Shizuka, he called at her loudly. Huh? Shizuka thought, confused at the boy's sudden change. Shizuka, Naruto called again and then reached down to shake the girl, confusing her even more. Though much to her shock, after she blinked, Naruto no longer was in the room and instead his face was replaced with her mother's. Lime end. Finally you are up, her mother told her, noting that her eyes are now open. Hurry up and get ready, you are going to be leaving in a few hours. She told the girl before leaving the confused girl alone in the room. What? Where is Naruto-kun? Shizuka thought, confused as her groggy mind tried to piece everything together. Still, soon enough she was able to piece together that she must have been dreaming and couldn't stop the atomic blush that appeared on her face. I can't believe that I just had a perverse dream. Shizuka thought, with her blush refusing to recede. For she never had a dream like that before, not even for Sagiri. Still, she shook the thoughts of it from her brain as best as she could and tried to focus on prepping for her trip. With the first thing in her plan being a long shower to clean off the wetness she now felt between her legs. Thankfully no one else paid her any mind as she got ready, and before she knew it her journey with Takiwa began yet again. Konoha. Naruto was finally let out of the hospital with his arm fully healed after 3 days of forcing the blonde to stay still. Something that was solely due to his girlfriends keeping him in line. For whenever he even thought of trying something or sneaking out, one of them would always be there to stop him dead in his tracks. Still, it was rather humorous to everyone but the blonde when the staff actually publicly thanked them for helping with their most troublesome patient. Though all in all Naruto got over it, simply happy that he was finally out of the prison he was stuck in. Off fresh air, how I have missed you. Naruto said happily in front of the hospital doors after taking a deep breath. Naruto, it wasn't that bad. Haku told him with a sweat drop on the back of her head at the boy's overreaction. Honestly, he can face opponents that are way above his level without fear, but when it comes to a hospital he acts like it is a monster in disguise. She couldn't help but think. Still, she didn't mention it to him and instead just followed him as he rushed over to Ichiraku Ramen and quickly sat down. Hey, 7 bowls of the good stuff ASAP please. Naruto called out as soon as he sat down, gaining a chuckle. Haha, I take it you are finally out of the hospital, seeing as your girls aren't dragging you back. Chuki says, giving the blonde a smile as he starts the order. You bet, and I have been craving ramen like crazy. Naruto told him with a wide smile. For even though Ayame brought him a large bowl, it really wasn't enough for his addiction. Sigh. Yes, thankfully Naruto-sama actually listened to us for the most part. Haku agreed, seeing as even though she knew Naruto would have been fine in a few days anyways thanks to his own healing, she still felt better to know that for sure. And I would like a miso please. She said politely to the kind man. Oi, why are you back to calling me Sama? I thought you were finally over it. Naruto asked her, seeing as she never used it in his entire time at the hospital. Still, she simply smiled at him. Of course I didn't use your suffix in the hospital. Like I said, while I am at the hospital, I am required to follow their rules. You wouldn't want me to get in trouble with the hospital, would you? She told him with a smile to being with before gaining a dark look for the last part. After all, thanks to Naruto's teasing, she was embarrassed in front of the greatest medic of them all. I already said sorry. Naruto muttered, confusing the older man, who thankfully held back his questions. Instead he quickly brought out the first few bowls of ramen for the duo, seeing as he was well aware that his favorite blonde rarely stopped at only his first order. Still, after another bowl was put in front of him, he came back from his funk while Haku lost her glare and simply enjoyed her own bowl. Naru-kun, you are out. Ayame called out happily as soon as she came out from the back of the stand and gave Naruto a strong hug over the counter. Hee, yeah, and part of it was thanks to my Tenchi blessing me with ramen to renew my spirit. Naruto told her, making her blush a bit. While it is flattering that Naruto puts some of the reason he healed up so fast on me, I really wish it was with something other than bring him ramen. She thought, flattered but still feeling a bit embarrassed. Meanwhile she was still tightly holding onto the blonde, much to the irritation of the few men that were eating there as well. Lucky bastard, hogging all of the eye candy's attention. One of the guys mumbled. For while in most men's eyes there were several ninja that were better looking than her, Ayame still was one of the best looking civilians, at least for the teenagers wandering the village. Sadly for this group though, Naruto overheard them and quickly looked over at them and gave them such a cold glare that they instantly paled and rushed out after leaving money to pay. Serves them right, Naruto thought before pulling away from Ayame's long hug. We should celebrate somehow, she told him with a large smile. Ayame, it wasn't like it was a life-threatening injury or anything. He told her, not really seeing it as something that he would celebrate for. But you still are out of the hospital after having to stay in for a few days. We have to have at least some drinks to celebrate or something. Ayame told him, clearly wanting to party. Couch, Ayame-chan, remember our deal. Tenchi tells her, interrupting her excitement. Oh come on, I am sure we can forget about that for this. I mean my boyfriend just came out of the hospital, I want to celebrate with some sake. She told him with a small pout. Sigh, I guess we can, but only if you guys come here for it. Tenchi told her, not wanting to make his girl upset more than he had to. I really hate that she likes sake so much when she really can't handle any, but I guess at least I will be able to watch her this time. He thought before glancing over at Naruto. But at least I don't think Naruto would be one to take advantage of her. I think. Plus, he should be more than capable of handling most idiots in this village that would dare try and tempt my precious little girl. He thought with a small growl at the idea. Mainly because he had to personally deal with quite a few people that pestered her already. Heaven forbid they learn that she really can't handle her booze. Thankfully though his growl went unnoticed by the girl, already happily thinking of which sake she wanted to get. I guess we are going to have a small party. Naruto muttered with a sweat drop, seeing as he somehow got forced into a party he didn't really want, for his own recovery. Course this just made Haku laugh a bit. Oh well, might as well enjoy it. After all, we rarely get a chance to let loose anyways. Haku told him, more than happy to have some fun in their normally serious world. Still they simply left Ayame to her thoughts, seeing as she was happy enough to be lost in her planning. They instead just finished their meals before heading home. Don't care if it sounds like I am just making Naruto have the best girls. This is solely for a bit of comedy and simply because besides a certain episode she always was a kind but yet independent girl. Which to me is always a major plus to see. Suna. Two figures were walking slowly through the hot desert towards the village. One was a figure that was standing proudly, clearly yelling at his companion. A companion who for some reason was hunched over so far he looked to be about half the height of his partner. Though the biggest thing to notice was that both of these two figures were completely cloaked in black cloaks with red clouds. I am telling you, art is an explosion. The taller man complained to his partner. Enough of your stupidity, we are reaching our target. The shorter figure ordered. Bastard. The taller one muttered but still gained a smile on his face, clearly excited for their mission. After this they both continued towards the village without saying another word to each other. Chapter 60. Anyways, so I am going to be starting this chapter off with Temari going to Konoha for help after everything went down. Hokage Tower Oh, you are sure they were Akatsuki members? Tsunade asked Temari, who was clearly distraught even though she tried to hide it. Why yes Lady Tsunade, now normally we would go after them ourselves, but without your help my brother will. Temari told her honestly, seeing as their best medics weren't having any luck helping her poisoned brother. It didn't help that her other brother was also kidnapped by the same group who are known to kill Jinchuriki. I understand. Tsunade told her, understanding the pain and worry that was going through the younger girl's mind. I will have a team prepared right away, she told her, happy to see the grateful smile that she received. Thank you Tsunade-sama. Suna will not forget this generosity. Temari told her with a bow. Course Tsunade waved off her gratitude and quickly summoned one of her Anbu. Fetch me Team 7. Tsunade orders, then watches as the man quickly leaves to do just that. As much as I hate to put Naruto into the line of fire of the Akatsuki again, but Sakura is the only one that can really have a chance to cure a poison that the poison masters can't, and as much as I hate to admit it, he probably will leave to help them anyways. Tsunade thought, knowing how the blonde would react when he found out what happened to his brother. Thankfully, with Sakura and Kakashi being strong ninja themselves, they should have a pretty good chance of defeating them. Plus 15 minutes later. You called for us Tsunade-sama. Sakura asks as she opens the office door with the rest of her team following. Course they all were quick to notice the tense feeling in the air and that Temari was standing in the office corner. Good. You all came in actually on time. Tsunade says, sending a glare at Kakashi, who rubbed his head. Mama, I'm not that bad. He tells her, trying to avoid the woman's rage. What he means that he is thankful for his thoughtful students reminding him that you wanted us to come ASAP. Sakura told her, adding a quick glare at the man herself, who wisely kept his mouth shut. After all, no one wanted one woman with anger issues and super strength after you, let alone two. Anyways, what do you need, Ba-chan? Naruto asked, only to get smacked to the floor from his pink-haired teammate. I have called your team for an S-class mission of dire importance. Tsunade starts making all of Team 7 focus on her, now completely serious. You see, Tamari-san has just brought me news that Suna has been attacked by men that can only be members of the Akatsuki. This attack has left their Kazekage kidnapped and Konkuro in the hospital with a supposedly incurable poison. She told them, then paused for a second to let the shock of her information soak fully into the shocked ninjas' heads, though mainly Naruto, who had an unreadable expression on his face. Your mission is to follow Tamari-san to Suna and help in any ways possible, understood? Tsunade asks them. Hi Tsunade-sama. They all told her serious. You have 30 minutes to prepare, then meet Tamari at the village gate. Do not be late. She orders the team, who quickly begin to leave. Wait Naruto. She adds in, stopping the blonde just as he was going through the door. Yes, I know that you are focused on rescuing Gaara and feel completely recovered. But please remember that you did just come out of the hospital, please be careful. She tells him softly. Naruto just looks at her for a moment before giving her a thumbs up and quickly leaving the room. That boy. Tsunade mutters, shaking her head. Please be safe, last we need is for them to get two of you, and I don't want to lose another precious person. She thought before turning to Tamari. You probably should do anything you need to do and get ready to meet them. She tells the girl, who nods and slowly walks out of the room. Not in a major rush, seeing as unlike the rest of them she was already pretty much ready for a mission and only had to wait for the team to finish their own preparations. Naruto's house. As soon as Naruto entered his apartment, he quickly went to his own personal supplies, much to Haku's surprise. You have another mission already? She asks. You just came out of the hospital. You should be resting, she tells him with a frown. Clearly not happy that her master appeared to be pushing himself too far. Sigh. Yes, Haku-chan, I do, but it wasn't my choice. Naruto tells her, only to see Haku's glare get seemingly worse. Then tell Tsunade-sama or whoever gave it to you that you aren't completely ready to be back on active duty. She tells him. To hell with being the submissive tool for right now. I refuse to let Naruto-kun get himself killed by allowing himself to be run into the ground, even if I have to go against the Hokage herself. I can't. Naruto tells her, and watched as she was about to argue with I am. Haku-chan, the bastards took Gaara. I have to help my brother before it is too late. He tells her honestly, then looks her right in the eyes. Please, for once I have an order for you, don't try to stop me from leaving. Naruto told her, completely serious. After he said this, Haku just looked into his deep blue eyes and saw nothing but determination and finally relented. Huff, fine, but be safe. She tells him. He then gives her a quick peck on the lips. I promise. He tells her with a small smile before finishing his packing and quickly leaving his house. I am going to have to make up to her when I get back, but first to let the rest of my angels know. Naruto thinks with a small frown, not excited to have to go through basically the same conversation several more times. Plus 25 minutes later, main gate plus. Come on, where are they? Naruto complained as he leaned against the village wall with Sakura and Tamari close by. Naruto, I know you want to hurry, but they still have 5 minutes before our designated time. Sakura told him. But we need to hurry. Naruto complained. Naruto, while I appreciate the hurry, we need to make sure that you have everything that is needed to actually help us. Tamari told Naruto honestly. After all, they would be going after a very dangerous poison and at least 2 S-class missing ninja. After she said this, Naruto still continued to grumble about them taking too long, but both of the girls decided to ignore him and simply wait for the other 2 members. Sai came right at the 30-minute mark and Kakashi came about a minute later, receiving a death glare from both Sakura and Naruto. Cough. Anyways team, let's head out. Kakashi told Team 7, awkwardly trying his best to ignore his students' death glares, though at least Sai kept a neutral expression. Course they relented at this and all began the journey towards Suna, with all of them having to pump a large amount of chakra into their legs to keep up with Naruto. Naruto, I know you want to help, but you need to slow down. Tamari calls out to him, already feeling the chakra drain. But we need to get there as soon as we can. Naruto told her. You baka. None of us have the stupid amount of chakra you have. Sakura yells at Naruto. She is right, Naruto, while we may get there faster, we won't be much help with all of us besides you suffering from chakra exhaustion. Kakashi adds. TCH, fine. Naruto mutters and cuts back on the amount of chakra he was using till the point where Kakashi took the lead to set the pace. No wonder Danzo-sama wants the Jinchuriki under his control, the amount of chakra they have to use is just unimaginable. Sai thinks honestly, seeing as Naruto didn't look any worse for wear after using so much chakra while the rest of them were clearly winded. Is this really how much chakra Gaara had at his disposal? Temari thinks, remembering how large her brother's jutsus were, and that was with him having the one-tailed Biju. Though she didn't focus on it for too long before finally refocusing on their goal. Suna. After their long journey, the Temari and Team 7 finally reached Suna's gate, where two Chunin women were currently standing. Though when these two girls see Temari, they quickly rush over to her with smiles on their face. Temari-sama, you are back, one of them calls out, rushing towards them. Huh, so this is the help that Kona has sent, she then muttered, looking over Team 7, clearly not impressed. Yes, now be thankful that they sent anyone, let alone the team that could possibly be the most helpful at this moment. Temari told the girl, scolding her. Sorry about that. Allow me to introduce two of the girls that I have helped train. This is Ayaka, pointing at the girl that appraised them. Said woman was on the shorter side with dark brown short hair and green eyes. She currently was wearing black tight pants and a tan shirt underneath her chunin vest. On her back she had a basic katana with a small fan at her hip. And this is Miki, Temari adds, pointing at the other girl that had light brown hair that framed her face. She wore a long-sleeved dark blue shirt underneath her vest and brown pants. Finally, she didn't appear to have any weapons on her other than a pouch she had on her hip. She also seemed to be more serious of the two, judging from the disapproving stare at her teammate. Hello, Kakashi tells them with a quick eye smile. But instead of introduction, it may be better to get Sakura-chan to Kankuro-san, Kakashi adds, with Temari nodding in agreement. Yes, I will talk to you two later, now come with me. Temari ordered them, quickly leading them to the hospital, leaving the two girls in their dust. Cough, but they didn't sign in. Ayaka mutters, only to be ignored by even her friend, who walked off to continue guarding their village. Meanwhile, Temari quickly led Team 7 right to the room her brother was in and quickly stepped to the side, and Sakura rushed to the downed man, momentarily ignoring the other medics. She then quickly did her own exam before finally looking at the charts of information already collected. Everyone besides medical staff, please stand back. Sakura told the group without looking at anyone. Course her team simply nodded and did as she asked. Wait, who are you? One of the medics asks, confused about her presence. I am a medic from Konoha. Sakura told them with a quick glance. Now let's focus on what is important right now. She told them, refocusing her efforts. She then places her head onto Kankuro's chest and listens to his heartbeat for a few moments before finally giving her information to the medics around her. This seems to have been a heavy metal-based toxin, a type that affects the muscles on a cellular level, quickly killing them off. With the toxin spread throughout his body for so long, there is a chance that his heart could give out at any moment. She told them somberly. It is quite possible that he could pass away before an antidote can be created, Sakura admits. And no, Temari mutters in shock. I can't be losing both of my brothers today. She thought, holding back tears. Sakura then looks at her, completely serious. Temari-san, I know it may look bleak, but there still is a chance. Sakura tells the girl before focusing on the medics. Now, in order to help him, I am going to need you to collect these items for me as soon as you can. Sakura tells them, quickly writing down several things and handing it to one of the medics. All right, the man tells her, quickly rushing off to get what was needed, and thankfully, due to it being for the Cage's family, all of the hospital worked even quicker to collect the requested items and bring up a large quantity to Sakura in no time at all. Sakura then quickly grabs the second medic and walks over to the basin of water that they brought up. Now I am going to need you two to keep creating batches of this infused water for me as I treat him, so watch carefully. Sakura tells them, quickly placing several herbs into a grinder and turned them all into a paste. She then drops said paste into the water, turning it all a light green color as it dissolved into the water. She then looked at the rest of the medical team. Meanwhile, the rest of you will split off into groups. A few of you will be holding onto Kankuro-san firmly, while the rest of you remove the used water and bring me fresh doses as soon as it is needed. Sakura tells them before glancing at the ninja that were watching close by. A few of you can help hold him down, just don't get in my team's way. Sakura tells them with a glare, promising pain if they messed up her treatment. But what are you going to be doing? One of the medics asked, confused as to what water would be so important for. Grr. I have no time to explain to you. Just do as you're told so we can save his life, and I will explain later. Sakura growled at the man who swallowed a lump in his throat, clearly terrified by the glare he was getting from her. Alright. Now let's get started, Sakura mutters, touching the medicated water with one of her hands while pumping chakra through it. She then lifts up her hand to show that the water was following it in a bubble-like shape. She then brought it over to Kankuro's chest and slowly pushed it into his body, allowing the chakra to aid the absorption through the skin. Course, while she was doing this, Kankuro quickly started to moan in pain and even pushed out of hands of the medics and sat up for a moment. Keep him laying down. I need complete focus on this. Sakura orders the team, clearly upset. Course this lead to the ninja watching to quickly take the medics' places and firmly pinned Kankuro to the bed enough that he could only squirm a little bit as Sakura reinserted the water into his body. They all then watched as the water seemingly was gone for several seconds before she somehow pulled it out of his body using her other hand, showing that it now contained a good portion of black specks in the once clean water. Sakura smiled at this for a second before dropping it into the basin that it started in. She then quickly did the same process with the new batch that quickly took the polluted one's place. She then slowly did the same process all around Kankuro's body, pulling as much of the toxin from his major organs as possible for what seemed like ages to Tamari before finally Sakura smiled and wiped the sweat off her brow. Phew, the amount of the toxin I was able to remove should be enough to keep it from being life-threatening now. Sakura tells the group, who are all clearly overjoyed. But this isn't over. You collect several samples of the toxin. Now we must work on an antidote to completely destroy the toxin that is left over in his body. She tells one of the medics, who quickly does as she asks. Meanwhile, the ninjas quickly left the room into the hallway where they saw two elderly people walking towards them. Though much to all of their surprise, this quickly changed when the older woman noticed Kakashi, for she quickly ran at the man ready to kill. She quickly went on the offensive after him, only for Kakashi to manage to dodge each attack by a small margin. Damn you, White Fang, she growled out. Chio, look closer. You have the wrong man, the old man with her calls out to the woman, who quickly does just that and notices a few differences. Ma'am, I think you have me mistaken for my father. Kakashi tells her, feeling awkward to have to mention this. Chio muttered before laughing loudly. Of course, I knew this, I was just testing all of you. She tells the group, who all sweat drop at her weirdness. Now where is the patient you needed help with? She asks the group. Lady Chio, thank you for coming to help us, but the medic from Konoha was already able to extract enough of it to make it not be life-threatening. Baki tells them respectfully. Konoha ninja. Ebizo mutters, a bit surprised. Oh, so that wench Tsunade was the help they brought us, Chio asked, annoyed about her enemy being so close. Actually, it was a young medic that did it. Baki tells them, hoping that the Konoha ninja wouldn't start anything due to their elder insulting their cage. What? Chio says, surprised, before pushing past the ninja into the medical room where she saw Sakura. So it was just a young girl. She mutters, impressed. Who would have thought anyone besides that damn bitch of a medic would be able to help people poisoned by a high-caliber poison? She thought, simply watching as Sakura asked for the samples to be stored and for a way to figure out the cure. That is Sakura, Lady Tsunade's apprentice. Tamari explains to the old women, whose eyes widen a bit. Well, who would have expected that darn medic to teach someone other than her sidekick? Chio muttered, letting Sakura hear the comment. Hey, well, she didn't make it easy on me, that's for sure. Sakura tells her with a small smile, choosing to ignore the insult to both of her mentors. Thank you, Sakura-san. I owe you so much for saving my brother. Tamari tells her gratefully over the elder's shoulder. You are welcome, Tamari-san. We are here to help after all, Sakura told her with a small smile. Now I have a poison to cure if you don't mind. She adds, walking away from the group with a medic showing her the way to where she could work. Well, now that Kankuro-san isn't in danger anymore, let's look over the information we have on our opponents, shall we? Kakashi said with his regular eye smile. Which Baki is quick to agree to and leads the group out of the hospital, leaving Kankuro to the medics now that he knows his life is safe. Suna Herb Garden. Currently Sakura was about done with a blend of medicine and calmly walked over to a microscope that had a sample of the poison. She then put the sample into some water and quickly ground it down further to put the pulp created into the liquid. This liquid was quickly sucked into a pipette and placed into the poison sample dish. Though sadly the test didn't seem to have any effect on it. Sigh, this may take a while. Sakura mutters tiredly. She then turned to one of the staff that came too. Though I have to say I am surprised to see Suna having such a wide variety of herbs to choose from. Sakura told the woman with a smile. Hey, well, with us having so many ninja focused on poisons, we had to make sure we had a large amount of samples for both them to use and for us to help those affected. They explained. Sakura didn't respond to this and simply began creating another test determined to find an antidote as soon as she could. Not only to save her patient but also due to the most likely facing the ninja whose weapons are soaked in the same poison. So, the pink-haired medic continued on until finally exhaustion finally forced her to rest. Plus few minutes after she passed out plus. A nurse quickly walked into the garden with Naruto following soon after her. Your teammate just fell asleep here. She must have worked herself to exhaustion trying to help us. The nurse explained, clearly admiring Sakura and her efforts, making Naruto chuckle a bit. Yay, she does seem to put her all into things now. Naruto agreed with a small smile on his face. He then gently scooped up the girl from the chair, making sure to try his hardest to wake her up. Don't worry, I am sure she will be back as soon as she wakes up ready to continue. Naruto tells the nurse, who waves her hands. Oh, she doesn't need to rush that much. All of the medical staff here would understand if she needed a good long rest after that amazing poison extraction technique. The nurse told him, seeing as all of the medical staff was talking about the amazing jutsu a few noticed. After all, both the chakra users and regular staff never saw anything like it before. They were all calling Sakura a medical genius simply for treating a patient they thought was going to die no matter what. Naruto didn't say anything after this and simply began walking away from the garden with the nurse following after him, watching as the woman in his arms fidgeted around a bit. I have to say I wish I had a boyfriend that was as caring as you are. She told Naruto, making him blush. Well, we aren't actually dating. Just close teammates. Naruto told her with the blush staying on his face. Oh, sorry, she just looks so comfortable in your arms that I assumed. Please forgive me. The woman told Naruto. Hey, it's fine. Naruto told her, not wanting the woman to feel too bad. They then reached the entrance of the hospital's property. Though if you need help with anything, I am always available to help you. She told Naruto, clearly flirting, which Naruto missed. Hey, I'll keep that in mind. Naruto told her with a wide smile that made the girl smile as well with a large blush. Though she had to return to her job and quickly left the blonde to his own journey back to the hotel room their team was provided. He then gently set her down in the bed before taking off her shoes and equipment pack. He then calmly pulled the blanket over her and gave the young women a small kind smile. Good night, Sakura-chan, he mutters before going to his own spot to turn in for the night. Plus next morning plus. In their room, all of Team 7 were currently still sleeping even as the sun slowly came through the window. Sadly, for the pink-haired girl this was enough to disturb what was a good rest. NGG, damn sun ruining my sleep, wait, I was working on the antidote. Sakura thought, forcing herself to wake up. Though much to her confusion she quickly realized she was in some sort of house rather than back in the greenhouse. A thought that quickly put her on edge and felt even more problematic when she realized that her weapon pouch was gone. Thankfully, though, her stress was quickly relieved when she saw Kakashi sleeping in a chair with his precious book sitting calmly on his lap. Thank Kami, she thought with a sigh of relief. She then refocused on her incomplete task and quickly decided that it was time for her to get back to work. With that in mind, she took a quick shower, got ready, and was out the door just when the rest of the team was starting to wake up themselves. Sakura-chan, Naruto mutters, confused when he heard the door shut. Meanwhile, Sakura was already back in her station prepping her next test. Plus mid-morning plus. Yet again Sakura was testing a sample, though unlike the rest of her trails, when this one came into contact with the sample it quickly broke down the sample, making Sakura gain a wide smile. Finally, she mutters happily and quickly preps more of her solution. 20 minutes later she calls in one of the medical staff to prep the solution into syringes. With both her and the medical staff happy they finally have an antidote after they saw themselves that it truly did work. And as soon as it was truly ready they rushed to Konkuro's room. Konkuro's room. Konkuro still laid in his bed sweating as his body worked hard to expel the remaining poison in his body. Luck for him though, he was soon joined by his sister, one of their medical ninja, and Sakura, who looked at the poor man. Don't worry Konkuro. Sakura-san has found a way to help you even more. Just please hold on for a little bit longer. Tamari tells him softly, then turns to the other two. Please let this work, she asked them and got a confident smile from both medical ninja. Don't worry Tamari-san, we have both tested the antidote and it has worked 100% of the time. The medical ninja tells her, then calmly walks over to Konkuro's side. Now Konkuro-san, I don't know if you can hear me right now, but know that you will feel a quick sting. The medical ninja told the unresponsive ninja. He then quickly stabs the shot into Konkuro's neck and quickly pushed the plunger down, injected the full dose into him before finally pulling the needle out. They all then waited patiently for the solution to do its work. And finally, after what seemed like hours, they heard a few groans come from the man as his eyes slowly began to move. Where am I? Konkuro mutters, confused as he weakly looked around. You are in the hospital Konkuro, I thought I lost you to the poison. Tamari told the man, not caring that she sounded so soft at the moment. Hey, like I would let my own game be the thing to take me out. Konkuro weakly tells her with a weak chuckle. What happened to my puppets? He then asks only for Tamari to look away. The team that found you brought back what they could. Tamari tells him, simply pointing over at the wall where his destroyed puppets sat. Konkuro just looked over at them sadly before moving his hand slightly and sending out a single strand of chakra thread at one of the hands. Konkuro, I know you were upset, but now isn't the time. Tamari began, only to be ignored as Konkuro opens the puppet's hand, showing a small scrap of cloth. Cough cough, I wasn't able to stop them, but I at least got a piece of his clothing. Konkuro tells her with a small bitter smile. Kakashi-sensei can use that to track the people that took Gaara-san. Sakura realized happily. Really? Then let's hurry up and get him so we can prep a retrieval team. Tamari tells them, rushing towards the door only to pause and look back at the group behind her. But if you ever tell anyone about what I did, I will end you. She threatened before continuing on with finding Kakashi. Cough cough, please save my brother. Konkuro mutters, looking at Sakura, who nods to the man. Don't worry, we will do all we can to help. Sakura tells him before looking at the medical ninja. I am going to leave him with you now that we have the formula figured out. Take good care of our patient. She tells him, getting a nod. She then left to search for Kakashi with Tamari. Chapter 61. After leaving the hospital, Sakura quickly found her team and told them about the new lead they have. Thanks to this, Kakashi ordered the team to get ready in a half-hour for the search to begin after summoning one of his ninja dogs to smell the rag. Thankfully though, all of them never really unpacked anything since they have been here, so their rush was easily accomplished, and soon enough, they all stood by one of the village gates waiting for Tamari to show up. Hey guys, sorry about the wait. Tamari called out to them as she ran to the group, actually only a minute or two later than when they showed up. Mama, it's fine Tamari-san, Kakashi tells her, waving off her apology. They all then turned towards the gate. Oi, you little brats aren't planning to leave without me, are you? They heard a voice call out to them that made Tamari's eyes widen. Lady Chio, you want to come with us? Tamari asked, stunned. For as long as she has known, the elders never even attempted to join any missions for the village before. She didn't even know if the old woman's body was up for a journey or not. No, not want. I am going with you brats. Someone has to make sure that this goes well, and I refuse to trust foreign ninja alone with this matter. She tells Tamari, looking over the Konoha ninja. Oi, we want to save Gaara just as much as you do. Naruto began telling her, only for Kakashi to grab his attention. Just let it go Naruto-san. She is from an era where even LA ninja villages couldn't fully trust each other. Kakashi explains, truly not wanting to get into the details. Thankfully though, Naruto accepted this and didn't go any further with his complaints. Okay then, if you are coming with us, I trust you are already prepared. Kakashi asks, getting a nod from the old women. Well then, let's get started. Kakashi mutters, summoning Pakun. Though yet again, just before they could leave, they were stopped, though this time by a loud sound coming at them at a very fast pace. Oi, the green blur called out to them and finally came to a stop just in front of them. Soon after yet another green blur showed up and did just the same. Yosh, well done my student, we have succeeded. Guy yells happily after they noticed he was the first blur. Yes sensei. Lee answers happily, making them realize he was the second blur that appeared. Bushy brows. Why are you guys here? Naruto asks, confused, only to get both of their good guy poses with their thumbs up. Tsunade-sama sent us as backup for you in the journey to help defeat the Akatsuki. Guy tells them happily. Don't worry, with the mighty team Guy on your side you can't lose. He tells them proudly. Then where is the rest of the team? Sakura asks them, making both of the green beasts look behind themselves, noticing the lack of their other two teammates. Guy-sensei, we forgot our precious comrades. Lee calls out, shocked with tears forming in his eyes. For this mistake I will run 1,000 laps around Suna on my hands. He tells the group. Yosh, I will join you my student and do 1,000 one-handed push-ups, Guy added. Guy-sensei. Lee. Guy-sensei. Shut up both of you. Tenten called out, slamming her fists into the back of both their heads. An action that made both their heads cause indents in the ground. The group then noticed that Neji was also now standing behind their teammates, clearly a bit annoyed. Anyways, we are here to help. Tenten tells the group with a smile, making them sweat drop at the fact that she simply stepped over her twitching teammates while acting like it never happened. Anyways, let's just head out. Kakashi tells the group, turning to his ninja dog. Pakun, if you would please start us off. He adds, getting a nod before the small dog began running through the desert. They all then quickly followed after the dog, hoping that they weren't going to be too late. Meanwhile, after walking for ages, Sasori and Deidara stop in a large cave and quickly activate the barrier jutsu they previously set up. Finally, we can start. Deidara mutters, having his clay creature drop Gaara onto the floor before making it go away. His teammate didn't say anything as a response and simply dragged Gaara into the center of the cave, then walked a ways away from him. Yes, now get to your place. Sasori orders the blonde, who does this but muttering curses at his partner the whole time. They then quickly went through a strange jutsu and saw black silhouettes of their group appear rather quickly. So, you have successfully captured him. One of the figures says with a distorted sounding voice. He then moved his hands in a way that couldn't be seen but caused a large statue to appear in the cave Sasori and Hidan were in. Let us begin the process. The figure orders the group, releasing a large amount of chakra that somehow became present in the cave. The rest of the figures soon followed after his lead and had the same effect, forming a bubble around Gaara of pure chakra. Could have at least thanked us. Deidara mutters but still followed the rest of the group. They all then watched for a few seconds as the chakra bubble was present in the room until the statue in the cave opened its mouth and for some reason began to somehow pull the chakra towards it. The blue bubble then stretched towards the statue's mouth and quickly ended up looking as if the creature was eating the chakra construct. Next, after a few more seconds, some red bubbles were seen coming off of Gaara's body until it formed a red layer over the man. Said layer though didn't stay in place long, as it slowly followed the same path the chakra had into the creature's mouth. This process will take a while. I trust that you two have set up the proper perimeter. The main figure asks the two actually present members. Of course we fucking did. Deidara tells the figure rudely, though he seemed to pay no mind. Good, then we can just focus on the process rather than wasting chakra for our own barrier. The figure mutters and simply returns his focus to the extraction process. Back with the Konoha Suna group. The journey was beginning to be surprisingly long for the large team as they left the desert and ended up in some nearby woodlands. Just how far did these people go? Tenten mutters, surprised that the team they were chasing went so far without even trying to make false trails or anything. Well, Tenten-san, they have a rather high-profile ninja kidnapped. I don't think they would want to be anywhere near the sand village with their cage in hand. Kakashi tells the girl. Yay, she mutters, but Kakashi noticed something that made him frown. It was clear that the girl was showing some fatigue already starting in. Damn it, guy, you just had to force your team to overexert themselves all the way to Suna, Kakashi mentally complains, noting that both of the non-green members of Team Guy seem to be in the same state. Pakun, hold up. We will all be taking a short rest here. Kakashi orders them. This made most members of the team quickly take out a canteen and drink some water to refresh themselves as they took the small amount of time to recover. But sensei, we need to go. Naruto complained only to get a glare from both him and Chio. Boy, I agree with your statement that we need to hurry, but you are foolish to want your team to head into a cage-level battle even slightly fatigued. Chio scolded Naruto with a glare. Thank you. Just give us a minute or two and we can continue. Neji tells Kakashi, respectfully thankful the man noticed. For even with his pride he did not want to force himself to be exhausted before facing the strongest foe he has ever faced. The group then formed a small circle in a small clearing, either leaning against a tree or sitting on the ground. Though I wonder why these Akatsuki people wanted Gaara-san to begin with. Sakura says, not understanding what their goal truly was. After all, there was no ransom note of any kind or any connection between Gaara and the men that she knew of. Course this just made Chio look at Sakura with a serious expression. Girl, tell me, do you know what a Jinchuriki is? Chio asks, making Sakura have flashbacks to what she saw in Konoha, though she was left no time to answer, seeing as Chio quickly continued to talk. As much as I dislike giving you foreigners this information, it is vital that you are informed. As you all know, in this world there is 9-tailed beasts that cause destruction to all that comes in their way. These creatures' power is next to unmatched, and thousands of ninja have lost their lives to each one of these beasts. Sadly, it has been found that these creatures of mass destruction are next to immortal. Any time they have been killed, they simply have reformed after a few years, just as hell-bent on destroying life. So, the only way we humans have found to keep them at bay is to seal them. Though normal seals stand no chance against the massive amount of chakra these beasts are formed of. So, years ago several seals were made to be capable of holding the beasts at bay, thought they come with a catch. You see, the only way these seals are capable of holding the chakra is to be placed on a young child. Chio explains, shocking the group. What? Why did they have to use children? Lee asks, shocked. I wish it wasn't this way either, boy, but the chakra these demons use is not only toxic to humans but also beyond our wildest imagination. The only way a human has a chance to hold the beast for longer than a few months is if they are exposed to it while their chakra network is still being developed. This way they have a better chance of their body getting used to the demon's power flowing through them. Though this isn't all bad, the child. Chio tells them, deciding to say the good before the bad. Thanks to having the beast in them, they not only always end up having much larger amounts of chakra but also end up with their bodies somehow being stronger than most ninja as well. Not to mention, if they truly need it, they are also able to access various amounts of their beast's chakra, doing vastly different things. This is why each major village has at least one Jinchuriki at any given time. Even a Genin-level ninja could quite possibly face a large group of Jonin and maybe even a cage level on even ground. Chio tells them, honestly surprising most of them. Course no one besides Kakashi truly noticed that Naruto seemed to shy away from their circle and had his hair covering his eyes. Whoa, Tenten mutters, remembering Gaara's transformation was so extreme. But wait, if who is Konoha's jailer? She asks Chio, who gives the girl a sad smile. Girl, I have no idea. That is your village's secret, not mine, and I suggest that even if you did know, that you kept it a secret, as you can see their powers are truly lusted after by many different people. Chio tells her before frowning. Though I will let you know that most Jinchuriki end up being resented by many people that know, simply because many cannot separate the beast from the child. She adds, clearly not all that happy that this is the case. Course at this point Sakura glances sadly over at Naruto, who hadn't moved, while Neji's eyes widens a bit as he too glances over at the blonde. So these Akatsuki want to do something with this seal. Tenten mutters, not fully understanding why anyone would want to mess with these beasts. From what she has heard both in her childhood and from the older women, she couldn't understand it. Why would anyone go through that much risk? For power. Though she also felt that she kind of didn't want to know, seeing as whatever it was had to be truly awful. Course they all were broke from their thoughts when they heard a clap coming from Kakashi. Well then, let's continue our hunt, shall we? He asked, clearly trying to pull the mood out of the depression aura created to focus the group on their mission. Hi, most of them mutter, trying their hardest to refocus on what was important for them at the current moment. Though Chio couldn't help but notice that Naruto, who seemed so bright and energetic, was now clearly shelled off from the rest of the group. Could he be? She thought, suddenly realizing that his reaction to their topic meant one of two things. Either he knew and cared for Konoha's Jinchuriki, or he was the jailer itself. If he is, then we may truly have better chances than I thought we did if he has good control, but why would that bitch send such a high-risk target to help? She thought, confused, for she knew her old enemy wouldn't be dumb enough to make such a mistake. Still, she chose to push her thoughts aside and instead hoped that the blonde truly would be a valuable weapon for them so that they could stand up to the S-class threats. For while she was confident in her skills, she was well aware that age has taken quite the toll on her, just as it does for any human. As much as I love weapons, I wish this type was never created, was Tenten's last thought as she followed the group. After all, even though she wished to know every weapon, she just couldn't stomach the idea of ruining someone's life simply to have a weapon of mass destruction. Naruto-kun, what is going on in that head of yours? Sakura thinks, concerned for her friend as she looked at his back. She was well aware of what he was and how his childhood was, she just wished she knew sooner. Now though, she couldn't help but feel sorry for the blonde, but was pulled from her thoughts when she felt a drop of water hit her face. Naruto-kun, she muttered in a voice barely even she heard. For she knew that if she was to pass the blonde, she would see tears on his face. Something that hasn't happened in years. Gaara, we will save you. I refuse to let any of my siblings suffer anymore if I can help it. Naruto thought, determined as he tried his best to reseal his mental barriers over his childhood memories and to stop his tears. Though he failed to notice the tendrils of red energy slowly beginning to overpower his blue as his emotions made him draw some of the Kyuubi's chakra. Chakra that slowly was brining his thoughts closer to wanting nothing but to destroy those that dare stand in his way. Haha, that's it, boy. Let your emotions draw you back to me. You may have trained with that white-haired bastard to try and control me, but real life is a lot different than practice. I just need to wait till you crack and then your body will be mine to destroy. The Kyuubi thinks with a sinister smile on his face. His thoughts then were filled with ideas of how he would slaughter the damn Nigan in the weird cloaks that dared to defy him. The rest of the trip was made in silence as people tried their hardest to refocus. Course, thanks to the new information, many of them couldn't completely wave off the aura that was around their team. They only could hope that it didn't cause too many problems for their fights that were coming closer and closer. The trail quickly led back out of the forest onto a large stretch of what seemed to be mountains. For all around them were large hills and boulders covered the ground. Though what made them all focus was the massive stone towering in front of them that had a seal directly in the middle of it. A seal. Tenten mutters, not having any clue what the seal was. Yes, and a powerful one at that. Kakashi mutters. Naruto, what can you tell me? Kakashi asked, only to get no answer. Naruto. He called a bit louder, breaking the blonde from his thoughts. What? Naruto asked, confused, only to see Kakashi point at the seal. He then simply nodded, quickly figuring out what he wanted. Naruto then looked at the seal the best he could for about a minute before turning back to the group. This seems to be a powerful barrier seal with 4 points. So, there are 4 seals somewhat like this one somewhere within a few miles of here. What makes it hard is that for this one it is marked that each seal has to come of at the same time, or it would cause serious damage to those around the seals. Not to mention that after they are removed there is only a few seconds someone would be able to destroy this seal, which would mean someone would need to destroy this whole stone. Naruto explained, impressed. For while it was his enemy, he couldn't help but marvel at the amazing seal work. Neji-kun, can you see them? Guy asked him, who quickly activated his eyes and began to search the area all around them. There is a seal about 2 miles away from here in each of the major directions from here. Neji tells them. Yosh. Then let us each go after one of the seals, my precious team. Guy says happily, with Kakashi nodding in agreement. That would be good. Each of you take a radio and synchronize pulling the seal, but be cautious, they surely have some sort of defense mechanism set up for them. Meanwhile, Sakura, will you be able to destroy this rock? Kakashi asks the girl, who nods while putting a pair of gloves on. Easily. Good. Now the rest of us be prepared for anything. We have no idea what they have prepared in there. Also, we have no idea how long it will be before Guy's team will be able to back us up. Kakashi told them, then looked to see that everyone understood and was focused. Good. Then to your positions. Kakashi ordered, and Team Guy each took off after putting a radio piece into their ear. Meanwhile, the rest of them double-checked their weapons and prepared themselves physically and mentally for the battle that was to come. They then only had to wait a few minutes until Kakashi heard each member of Team Guy saying they found their seal. Good, then on 3 pull each of them, then Sakura hit the stone 2 seconds afterward. Kakashi ordered. Ready. 1, 2, 3. Kakashi tells them and each person pulled their seal. Sakura then pulled back her fist and ran at the boulder with a battle cry and slammed her fist into the hard stone. Said stone quickly crumbled into thousands of pieces as they were affected by the Pinket's monstrous strength. This also caused a large cloud of dust to form but was quickly settling to show the 2 Akatsuki members, with Deidara sitting on Gaara. Hello. Deidara calls out to them with a smirk. It seems like you all are a bit late to the party. He told them with his smirk staying on his face as he tapped Gaara's unmoving cheek. Demon boy here already bit the big one. He finished saying, shocking the group. Meanwhile, by each of member of Team Guy a figure quickly formed out of nothing and quickly began to resemble themselves. Well, this is a problem. They all think as they prepare to fight the mimic as it does the same preparation. Chapter 62. Team Guy, different places. Each member of the team stared down the clone of themselves ready for a fight, even thought they all were quite surprised by the fact that their opponents were themselves. Ya know that of all the shit we could face, I have to admit this wasn't even on the list of what I expected. Tenten thought, trying to figure out how this was even possible. Still, she was well aware that this really wasn't the time for too much thinking, so she quickly pushed those thoughts away. Instead, she pulled out several kunai and quickly launched them at her clone only for it to do the same thing perfectly. Sigh, this is going to be annoying, isn't it? She muttered, preparing herself for a real fight. After all, no one ever has a plan ready to beat themselves. Meanwhile, the rest of her team were having similar thoughts and experiences all around the area. They all just prepared themselves for anything that this thing could do while hoping the other group would be fine without their backup for a while. Naruto and Group. As soon as Naruto saw Deidara sitting on Gaara and treating his body so poorly, he quickly felt rage bubble up inside of him. No, Naruto, you have to be calm. Remember what Jiraiya told you. The beast feeds on my rage, and the more I allow it to take hold, the worse its hold is on me. Naruto tells himself, mentally trying to calm his thoughts as much as he could. It seems Itachi doesn't know his target all that well. Deidara thinks, a bit annoyed remembering the man's words. The Kyuubi host will be the first one to show rage at you for killing Gaara. He will most likely attack you soon after he sees said container's body. Che, bastard could have given at least a description before he cut off his connection. Guess the shit doesn't want us taking his bounty that he has failed to collect several times now, but too fucking bad. Maybe if I just stir the pot a bit, he thinks with an evil smirk. Gaara, Tamari muttered, truly heartbroken to see her brother's fate. Deidara just chuckles a bit. Sorry little girl, but the deed is done already. He told her with a smile. This sandy bastard put up a good fight, but in the end was just as pitiful as the rest of you hopeless fools. I still don't know how this demon ever made his village think he was worth having as a cage. He adds with his grin staying on his face. A grin that got even bigger as he saw various levels of anger in the group's members. Though he quickly noticed one that's eyes almost seemed to have red bleeding into them. You bastard! Naruto growled out with thoughts of calming down pushed out of his mind. And it looks like we found the demon. Deidara thinks happily before standing up and quickly creating a clay bird in his hands. Said bird quickly expanded hundreds of times over until it was big enough to easily pick Gaara's body up into its mouth. He then jumps onto the bird and takes off out of the cave. Grr, you aren't going to escape. Naruto tells him, quickly chasing after him. Damn it, I thought that he grew past these stupid spur of the moment mistakes. He is going to get someone killed. Kakashi thinks annoyed but quickly follows after the blonde with Sai following after him. Meanwhile, Chio, Sakura, and Tamari all stayed still, simply watching as the other Akatsuki member stood perfectly still in the cave, or at least they assumed he was standing. Naruto. Currently Naruto was quickly keeping pace with the bird he was following while his eyes slowly became taken over by red, filling them with malice. Yes, Nigan, feel that anger. Let it consume you, the Kyuubi tells him with a smirk on his face as he happily allowed his chakra to be fed to Naruto, which was so filled with malice that it only added to his rage. Soon enough this led to Naruto beginning to have chakra visibly bubbling up on his skin as he sped up. Raw! Naruto growled out as he launched himself at the bird, getting close enough to leave a gash on the bird's side. Damn kid is fast, I will give him that, Deidara mutters as he willed his creation to go faster. Fully planning on letting Naruto tire himself out a decent bit simply through trying to attack him, after all he wouldn't go lethal with precious cargo right underneath him. He then watches as Naruto fully enters some sort of cloak form that seemed to have mixed with his bloodline and create a demonic armor set, complete with claws on either of his hands. Well, I haven't heard of a stage 1 transformation quite like that before, he adds while still pushing his bird to travel as fast as it possibly could away from the enraged. Both to tire him out and to make sure as much of the help that could possibly come after him was as far away as possible. Meanwhile Kakashi and Sai just followed along a decent way behind both of them, simply trying to keep up with Naruto as he sped off. Damn it, Naruto, of all things for you to fall back on, it just had to be making such stupid mistakes like letting your anger get to you. Oh great, now he is already forming the cloak. I guess I will have to use the seal that Jiraiya-sama gave me after all. I just hope I can place it on him before he reaches too many tails. Kakashi thinks, still annoyed with his student. While he was thinking this, he wasn't paying much attention to Sai, who slowly let himself lag behind even Kakashi, but not enough so that he couldn't see Naruto. Lord Danzo did say that the Jinchuriki was brash and seemingly unstable, but this is surprising. All it takes to unleash the beast is a few jabs at his friends. We could possibly use this to collect the beast finally. I must let Lord Danzo know. But first let's see what a rampaging tool can really do. Sai thinks without a hint of emotion crossing his face. He was fully ready to simply let Naruto release every bit of the beast. After all, he was given a scroll with a seal that is said to be powerful enough to hold a Biju for at least a few hours. He just hoped that the Akatsuki member and possibly Kakashi would be either gone or distracted enough that he could leave without too much opposition. Though he was well aware that if this did happen, he would gain a decent bounty on his head, forcing him to wear a root mask for the rest of his service under Danzo. So, with this in mind, all of them kept on going through the woods until finally Kakashi decided that the problem was only getting worse if they got much farther away from any of their allies. With that in mind, he pulled up his headband and opened his Sharingan eye for the first time in a while. He then focused completely on Deidara's torso while his eye changed. He then forced a large amount of chakra to the eye and watched as a portal began to form right on his target. Sadly, though at this point said man changed directions ever so slightly to dodge a tree, bringing his focus to rest on the man's arm instead as the portal finally opened up. Due to this, instead of ending the chase completely, he was only able to sever one of the man's arms as it was forced into the portal. Still, this had some desirable effects. For due to the immense pain and surprise Deidara faced with suddenly losing his arm, his focus was destroyed, making his clay construct in turn slow down. A fact that Naruto quickly capitalized on as he sent a slash of chakra at the clay bird, decapitating it and letting gravity take its effect on the situation. The heavy head of the beast with Deidara quickly plummeted straight to the ground with only some skidding due to the velocity it was moving at. Meanwhile, the body kept traveling past this point due to the remain chakra in it slowly fading as it came to a crash somewhere behind where the head was. Damn it! Deidara growls out as he got his footing back on solid ground just before Naruto came rushing at him, now standing like a beast on all fours as the first tail swayed around his rear end. Just great, whatever the fuck that thing was not only cost me a fucking arm but also lost me my range. Now I have to fight the strongest damn beast up close when I am a long-range fighter. Deidara thinks, annoyed. For Gaara truly was the best opponent he could have got, being more of a long-range fighter as well. Now that the fight was closer, he would have to make sure that none of his explosions ended up hurting him in the process. Luckily for him, he did have one part going for him. Gaara was still completely wrapped up in his explosive clay laying just behind him. Now hey there, Kyuubi brat. I am sure you would just love to charge at me and rip me to shreds, but remember I still have your pal in here. And if you happen to give it some chakra, it might just activate my clay. He tells Naruto with a smirk, quickly pulling of a small chunk of clay and threw it to the side where he quickly made it explode. Hey, come on brat, take the bait. My clay may need my chakra to activate its explosive qualities, but you don't know that. Just stay over there and let me take care of you. Deidara thinks with a smirk on his face. He then quickly forms a few clay birds that quickly fly over to Naruto and detonate, making Naruto jump to the side in order to avoid the blast. Though he didn't take a step closer to Deidara, making the man smirk. Got you. Deidara thinks gleefully as he goes to work creating not only explosives to attack Naruto but also several to go hid themselves and wait for Naruto to make a wrong move. This battle was back on his terms just where he liked it. This continued for several minutes with Naruto just dodging all of the various bombs while occasionally hitting one of the traps that were places causing him damage but were quickly healed up by the massive amount of chakra going through his system. A fact that was only making the blonde feel even more rage as the stalemate continued this way. Course what he didn't think about was the fact that he in fact would win if this was all Deidara did, seeing as he could last a lot longer than the man. But sadly, the malice of the Biju's chakra already was warping his mind into more rage than anything else. Thankfully though, it seems Kakashi decided to prevent this as the man rushed at Deidara with a lighting-enhanced kunai. An attack that was easily dodged by the S-rank man who simply stepped to the side of the telegraphed swing. Though much to Deidara's surprise, instead of continuing his assault, Kakashi continued going past him until he reached the head of the bird behind him. Shit. Deidara mutters, quickly realizing Kakashi's plan, but was too slow to stop the kunai from piercing the bird's clay flesh, pushing lighting chakra through the structure. Well, would you look at that. It doesn't explode when it isn't your chakra. Kakashi says happily, making Deidara growl and throw a centipede at him that he made no effort to dodge. Instead, he created several shadow clones that spread out around the head just before the creation landed on him. Katsu. Deidara called out, making his bug explode soon after it attached to Kakashi. And now it is back to just you and me, Kyuubi brat. Deidara tells the blonde, happy that he killed one of the distractions around him. I wouldn't be so sure about that. They both heard, and much to Deidara's surprise, Kakashi came out from hiding in the trees calmly. You wouldn't think I would be dumb enough to send the real me into a battle of unknowns, would you? Kakashi asks teasingly, as he looks over the battlefield. His happiness soon fades when he realizes that Naruto was already deep enough in the rage and malice he was feeling to not have even reacted to his friend coming back to life. This has to end before the other tales form. Kakashi thinks sadly as his clones finally shunshun to a thick branch a bit behind him, making Deidara's eyes widen in realization. This bastard tricked me into taking my advantage away. He thinks angry that he let himself be fooled. Now he is wide open. Naruto, take him out while you have the chance. Kakashi orders the teen, who seems to ignore him completely. Though this quickly changed as he saw Naruto quickly create a one-handed Rasengan and launch over to Deidara. He then slams the ball into the man's gut, grinding a clear groove in his flesh. Finally, after a few seconds of this grinding, Deidara's body was launched through a tree and landed a few yards away from the blonde. Only instead of showing a dead man, the body's color faded away, showing him to be nothing but a clay figure himself. A fact that made Naruto growl out in rage, and soon everyone saw his second tail form behind him as he jumped to where the clay body was and began to hit it several times, making its body nothing but paste. Che, stupid beast. Katsu. Deidara calls out happily after pulling himself out of the ground a dozen yards or so away from him, causing a massive explosion around Naruto. He then quickly reached into his pouch to grab more clay that his hand-mouth began to chew as he waited for the smoke to clear. Oh, for fuck's sake, he couldn't help but mutter as he saw Naruto appear out of the smoke perfectly fine. In fact, it seems like he completely shielded himself from the explosion somehow, even though he was right on top of it with some sort of chakra translucent red ball. Well, if the bastard is cocky enough to think a simple shield will protect him from me, I better step this up a notch to prove him wrong, Deidara thinks, preparing to use his C2 explosives rather than one. He then pulls his hand out and smiles as several mouth-like creatures were now there. Let's see you survive this. Deidara calls out, letting the bugs fly off of his palm, and quickly sped towards Naruto, who didn't move out of his complete chakra shield even as they landed on the ball and walked around on top of it. Katsu. Deidara screams out, causing an explosion that was at least 2 times as big, even though he clearly used only a minuscule portion of his explosive clay. The man then smiles as he saw Naruto be blown away through several trees, now sporting burns all over his body. Though much to his annoyance, they all quickly began to disappear from the teen's body as he rushed at Deidara. They then began a taijutsu fight, with Naruto clawing and slashing like a wild animal that Deidara's semi-sloppy techniques somehow managed to push away each. Good, even if he is acting way more brazen than he usually does, at least he finally is facing a long-range fighter the way he should. Now let's help him end this before Deidara manages to get enough space again. Kakashi thinks, not wanting to see what a large construct's explosive power would be if made of the more powerful clay. Especially seeing as there was no way to truly tell how strong the explosions would be until they finally happened. With that in mind, he launched himself into the fight, pushing Deidara back due to his clear lack of balance between his combat ranges. A fact that led to Kakashi getting a solid blow to Deidara's chest, hard enough to knock the wind and some blood from the man. Ah, damn you. Deidara growls out, kneeling on the ground with his hand in his pouch as he tried to ignore the pain he felt in his chest. He let it continue to eat as much clay as it could in the few seconds it had before he needed to use his one arm to be able to dodge most attacks the two fighters threw at him. One with kunai and precise attacks and the other with chakra claws and frantic mauling attacks. Sai. While this fight was going on, Sai was calmly sitting on a tree branch writing about each technique he saw from both fighters. For while his main focus was Naruto and the fox, he wouldn't waste a chance to write about jutsu that could later be possibly reproduced. Overall, the Biju's abilities seem to be what people would call frightening. Each and every attack that is done, even if it is regular jutsus, is magnified to be deadlier than ever imagined, but it seems that the chakra goes to the user's head, making them too cocky to avoid easy problems or to dodge attacks that could be dodged by even a genin. Not to mention that it seems that rage will bring it to be focused on destroying anything, even if it is a trap. Sai notes, remembering how Naruto jumped on a clay pile even after knowing that his opponent used it as explosives. Truly, while the power is clear to see, I wonder why the world fears Jinchuriki so much. Maybe after being cultivated by someone like Lord Danzo it will be able to be a truly deadly force, but right now it seems like it is just a power boost that leads idiots to their grave. Sai noted, not caring in the slightest that he called his teammate both an it and an idiot. Back to fight. After trying his best to avoid damage from both of his opponents, Deidara finally reached the goal he wanted and gained a mental smirk. He then allowed himself to be hit by yet another blow from Kakashi that sent him to the ground. He then placed his hand on the ground and slowly pushed himself up with it. We can end this now if you give us the Akatsuki's secrets. Kakashi offered to Deidara, completely serious. For while he was an S-class ninja for a reason, right now he seemed to have no chance against both a Jinchuriki and a high-class ninja like him. Course they would still kill him, but only after they squeezed every drop of info they could from him. An idea that was well worth the risk to Kakashi due to the man being clearly rather weak without a chance to use his clay. Something he couldn't do while needing his reaming hand to fend off most of their blows. Cough, fuck you damn scum. Deidara tells him with a cocky smirk. He then finally gets completely up from the ground and jumps as far as he could away from them. I have so much more art to show you before I ever give up. He tells Kakashi with an insane look as he stuffs his hand back into his pouch. Shit. Kakashi mutters, knowing that he had to stop him before he could fully produce any explosive constructs, and quickly began to run at him until he reached where Deidara was originally trying to get up. As soon as he stepped near it, a clay centipede launched out of the ground and would have wrapped around his leg had his Sharingan not gave him just enough time to pull his foot away. Katsu. Deidara calls out, making the bug explode right in Kakashi's face, launching the man back until he slammed into a tree, clearly in pain after the explosion hit him dead on. Thankfully it seemed that it was one of his weaker creations, seeing as he wasn't in pieces, but it still caused a large amount of pain everywhere on the gray-haired man's body. Though what neither men expected was for Naruto's eyes to widen as he saw Kakashi on the ground by the tree. No, not another one, he can't be dead. Naruto thinks, too worried to notice the obvious signs that Kakashi wasn't. Foolish boy. Letting all of those around you die due to your weakness. The Kyuubi tells Naruto, who simply looks at the large fox now in his inner world. My weakness. I am not weak, after all that training I am strong enough to beat even Jonin. Naruto tells the fox, glaring at him. Ha ha ha, you dare call yourself strong? After you let one of your precious people die, and even had the stupidity to have it happen again even after I so nicely fed you some real power. The Kyuubi told him with a laugh that rebounded off the walls. I didn't. He's not dead, I hope, Naruto tells him as his mind tried informing him of the obvious signs of life from his sensei. Can't have that happen when I am so far, Kyuubi thought with a growl as he pushed some more chakra into Naruto, making the blonde refocus on his inner rage rather than common sense. Now let me show you what real power can do. The Kyuubi tells him with a smirk as he slowly pushed another tail's worth out to Naruto. Something that the blonde could have stopped if he focused on his training, but instead welcomed the power as it filled him with power that whispered sweet things about death and destruction. Meanwhile, outside of his body, Naruto quickly began to form the third tail as the demonic chakra in the air became visible around them. Kakashi mentally groans, feeling thankfully that there wasn't pieces of him littered around the battlefield until he noticed the wisps of red chakra in the area and quickly looked to his student. Damn it, this fight just got even harder for me, Kakashi thinks, feeling a small amount of fear leak into him as he felt the malice around him. Though he squashed the feeling a few moments after and pulled out the suppression seal that he was given. I can't let this continue, but if I do it now, the chances of Naruto being taken raise drastically. Kakashi thinks with a frown as he simply held the paper. Then after a few moments of thinking about it, he reaches back into his pouch and pulls out a soldier pill that he quickly consumes. I hate to do it, but I am going to have to let him rampage for a bit. I am sorry, Lord Jiraiya, but if I stop him now, I don't know if I would be able to stop the Akatsuki from collecting him as easy prey. I'll stop it if he even starts to form the fourth tail. Kakashi thinks as he back away from the fight, but remained close enough to Naruto that he could place the seal the second he was given no other choice. He then watched as Deidara pulled his hand out of his pouch yet again with several figures visible in his hand. He then threw one of them at Naruto, who leaned to the side and let the small creature shoot right past him. He then tried to launch himself at Deidara only to feel something preventing his movement. He quickly looked behind himself and let a growl out as he noticed the centipede he dodged before was now large and had half its body wrapped around one of his legs while the rest of it was firmly in the ground. A problem he quickly fixed with a quick slash of his claw, severing the thing in half, though when he looked back at his opponent all he could see was several large clay beasts coming at him. Fool! Katsu! Deidara called out happily as the powerful explosion's shockwave was felt by all three of the people around it. And there is yet another Jinchuriki captured due to my amazing art. He proclaimed happily as smoke covered the area Naruto was standing. Though due to his celebrating he failed to notice the spike of chakra that came from in the smoke. And even didn't notice the large strand of red chakra launch at him until it cut clean through his only arm. Ah, damn it! Deidara screamed as he felt the immense pain. Damn my cockiness, I guess it truly is going to be the death of me. I guess those assholes were right, Deidara thinks, remembering his own past until he looked at the mass of clay that was a ways away from their clearing. Hey, maybe it won't be, he thinks with a smile as he runs towards the clay mass while Naruto's vision was still blocked by smoke. He simply made sure to dodge the random chakra tendril strikes he now knew were coming randomly from the smoke. Soon after he reached the creature, he quickly bit into the body and began chewing it as fast as he could. A minute or so after he began chewing, Naruto appeared a few feet away from him. You are too late, bastard. Deidara tells Naruto with a smile and quickly swallowed the clay in his mouth. Let me show you that no matter what, Deidara begins to say, then visibly expands to a point that would make any clear-thinking ninja nervous. An explosion, he calls out, then his body itself blew up in a massive explosion that blew up the entire area, leaving a large mark on the forest as trees were both destroyed by the blast and by the shockwave. Still, it eventually stopped and showed ground zero of the blast where a glowing red ball could be seen. The ball was dark red and currently had large cracks in it, looking as if it was barely holding up. This was until it finally disappeared as well, showing Naruto in his Kyuubi cloak still alive somehow, much to Kakashi's relief. The gray-haired man then quickly runs from where he escaped the blast towards Naruto, who was still recovering from the explosion. Due to this he was able to place the seal on the blonde's head, making the chakra quickly disperse from his body, showing the normal blonde for a moment before his eyes rolled up in his head and he passed out. Phew, that went surprisingly well with all things taken into consideration. Kakashi mutters, seeing as they were both alive and he managed to subdue the Kyuubi before it could take more control over Naruto's body. He then heard someone come up behind him and looked over at Sai, who calmly walked over to him. And where were you this whole time? Kakashi asked the teen, who looked at him with his emotionless stare. I was watching the fight just like you were. I just didn't feel safe to jump into a battle of that level. Sai told him, simply playing off his lack of help as simply fearing for his life. Sure you were. Kakashi mutters, narrowing his eyes at the pale teen for a moment, not believing him but knowing nothing would come from him reporting it. Anyways, let's connect back with our teammates. Kakashi tells him, picking Naruto up, and quickly began the trip back to where he left the girls, simply hoping they were okay. Explosion area. Haha, it worked. Deidara says happily after pulling himself from the ground he hid in. Those bastards were completely fooled by my art, he says with a smile, but then refocused on what he now needed to do. He knew that Zetsu had to be coming to them to help clean up the mess, so he had to find the plant-based man to help him before he truly did die from his injuries. Kukuku, yes they were. Deidara heard from the forest, making him look in the direction the voice came from, and his eyes widened as he saw the person who said it. Oh, Orochimaru. Deidara mutters, feeling fear take hold as he knew that he was completely unable to face an opponent such as him at the moment. Good, you remember me, Deidara-chan, Orochimaru says with a smile as he walked into the clearing and stood in front of the armless man. Though my, how you have changed, Orochimaru told him with a chuckle as he looked at the sad state of the S-class ninja. Shut up, you snake bastard, Deidara told him with a growl. Now that's no way to talk to an old friend, Orochimaru told him with his smile never leaving his face. But I will forgive you, seeing as I need someone to test my newest project on, and you are perfect for this, he tells him as Kabuto comes out of the forest behind him with several people following him. He seems ready. Start the test, Orochimaru orders Kabuto, who smiles at him. Of course, Lord Orochimaru, Kabuto tells him with the smile never leaving his face. He then snaps his finger and the people following him walk towards Deidara, showing that they all had dead eyes as if they were zombies. What the hell? Deidara mutters, then turns to flee from the strange creatures due to having no way of fighting. Though much to his surprise, most of them surrounded him, forcing him to stand still. The last one then slowly came to them with its mouth open, showing its teeth were sharpened to be like a shark's. Deidara then began to fight but was getting nowhere with his struggles as the creature finally reached him and sunk his teeth deep into his neck. Now let's see if our theories are correct, shall we? Orochimaru says happily as he watches the event completely focused. If this works, my work will soon be ready to help me do all I have ever wanted. Orochimaru thinks with his smile staying on his face as he saw black lines begin to form from the bite wound on Deidara's neck. I would like to explain the way Naruto is for my thing. He was enraged so easily even after being actually trained for a few reasons. Is the first time he actually witnessed one of his precious people die through battle and be desecrated, didn't see the old man's death too. He was already feeling a lot of anger due to having to deal with the Akatsuki and the memories of his past. 3. After he started using some of the Kyuubi's chakra, it fed off the anger already in him, and its own malice added to it, making Naruto more bloodthirsty. He will have to work on this at a later date. Naruto in this story has a bloodline that already lets him mold chakra, changing up his use of the Biju chakra. For right now, his start point of using its chakra makes the chakra armor jutsu he created turn more demonic and in constant use when enough of the Biju chakra is flowing through him. Next up, until he loses control, he will have use of his chakra molding, but it will purely use the Biju chakra in him. Next, his healing, which is usually very high, is heightened even more thanks to the insane amount of chakra following through him. When he reaches the third tail, though, he does lose control like in the anime, but his body subconsciously forms chakra constructs such as hands, like is done in higher tails. They just are more see-through and not nearly as strong as if he was truly in tail 4+. He will also be able to create various other things, but it will be due to his body feeling the need for said items to be there rather than thinking of how to do it. Chapter 63. After half their group left chasing after Deidara, the rest of them were left staring down the hunchback form of Sasori in the cave. Though due to knowing the man was an experienced poison user, Sakura, Temari, and Chio all were hesitant to attack the man. It seems that my foolish partner has left with our second target, no matter. Sasori mutters, looking over at the group. It seems like I have gained a new target to deal with while I wait. He adds, looking over at Chio. Sasori-kun, was all the elderly women could mutter as she remembered watching the boy grow up. She then quickly was brought back to her sadness knowing how far her little grandchild has fallen. Meanwhile, the rest of the group was more focused on trying to prepare for any sort of attack, which was proving hard seeing as most of the man's body was covered by cloth. Finally, Temari decided to get the fight started and quickly opened her fan and launch a wave of wind at Sasori, who easily blocked the gust simply by bringing a large tail-like weapon down in front of him. Said tail was segmented by having a connection point between each piece of blade, allowing it to be extremely mobile. Still, this brought Chiyo out of her memories back to the fight at hand. Girls, we need to be careful. Being the puppet expert he is, Sasori's weapons are no doubt completely coated in poison. Even a small scratch will end this fight, she told the girls, who both tensed up, realizing just how dangerous their opponent truly is. So this is what a S-class puppet user is like. It is amazing to see the difference between him and my brother. Tamari couldn't help but think. After all, she never once truly felt super concerned when she spared against her brother. She then shook these thoughts away, seeing as she needed her complete attention on Sasori. They all knew they wouldn't be able to fight if they just stood around and instead rushed into the cave while Sakura threw several shuriken at the man. Sasori, instead of moving at all, simply lazily moved his tail in front of him. He then glanced around himself and noticed they now surrounded him in a triangle shape. So you all have finally decided to fight? Sasori notices with no real emotion in his voice. Then let's see how you do against my puppets, Sasori tells them before a puff of smoke appeared, showing something that shocked two of the three girls fighting him. For in front of them they saw a puppet that had a clearly human appearance. Sasori, what have you done? Chiyo mutters with her eyes wide. Meanwhile, Temari's eyes were just as wide while she had tears building up at the edges of her eyes. This puppet looks just like, she mutters in shock. For she remembered one of the reasons Sasori was branded as a missing ninja was not only for his actions but because he eventually began making his puppets out of real people. So this is why he was never found, Tamari says, clearly still shocked by the appearance of the puppet. Tamari, what is wrong? Sakura calls out, not understanding why both of them were so out of shape simply by seeing a puppet. Hey, I see you figured out who my puppet was created of. I do have to admit that while it was difficult to collect this one, he is one of my favorite creations. Sasori tells them, you killed the third cage, and just when we needed him the most. Chiyo adds, truly sad by how low her grandson went. After all, if he didn't cripple his own village in such a matter, there was no telling how much of a better position their village would be in currently. Course, this just made Sakura understand how truly dangerous the puppet was, seeing as she truly had very little idea who the third cage truly was. In fact, the only information she truly had was the basic information that was taught to them in school. Still, she quickly became more worried when she saw sand moving around the cave. Though they still began to fight against the man, with Tamari attacking at long range with her wind Judas and Sakura getting in close when she sees an opening away from the poisoned weaponry that was flowing around the area. Sadly thought, just as soon as they finally began to gain progress in the fight, Sasori's body began to move in unnatural ways and ripped his cloak as he showed that their opponent was yet another puppet. A puppet that quickly began to show it had its own tricks as Sasori began to attack them not only with the cage but also with a large amount of needles. When she saw this, Chiyo narrowed her eyes at her grandson and quickly pulled a chain of kunai out of her sleeves that seemed to float in midair. Assault blade, Chiyo called out simply, then launched all of the kunai at Sasori, who easily deflected them with his tail. She then motioned for the girls to come to her, which was quickly followed due to her being the most experienced in a puppet battle. Chiyo then whispered to both of the girls a quick plan while Sasori sat in his original spot, not bothering to stop them. Course, he didn't have to wait long, for as soon as Chiyo stopped talking, Sakura rushed at him head on, making him almost want to chuckle. Foolish girl, he mutters, launching a storm of needles at the girl, who somehow managed to dance through the storm of avoiding all of the needles even as they littered the ground. Meanwhile, his simply attacks with his cage puppet were for the most part being negated by Temari's wind attacks. Finally, he was forced to move away from the girl as she came far too close for his liking. Afterward, he launched out what looked to be a cylinder with loads of pegs on it. Said cylinder quickly blew up into a blast that was comprised of countless amounts of needles that launched every direction. Said needles even hit both him and his puppet but simply bounced off their wooden constructs. He watched over the fight with frustration as all three of the girls somehow completely dodged the blast. Sakura now. Chiyo called out at the girl, who now stood behind Sasori, and Sakura yet again rushed at Sasori, clearly planning to hit him. This time though, he decided to simply end his frustration and launched his tail directly at the girl, who didn't even try to move. Though just as the tip of the tail was about to pierce Sakura's head, it suddenly completely stopped. This allowed the girl to easily move around his tail and slammed her fist into his body, completely destroying the puppet. Damn you! Sasori growled out and quickly jumped away from the remains of his body. He then showed them what he really looked like, yet again shocking Chiyo. So you attached chakra threads to my weapon in the disguise of a simple attack. Sasori noted, ignoring Chiyo's shock. How? You look exactly like you did before you left the village all those years ago. She muttered, stunned. Lady Chiyo. Tamari called out, bringing the old woman out of her shock. She thankfully quickly refocused on the fight and saw Sasori allow the iron sand around the area to fall to the ground. He then launched the cage at Sakura, with its arm becoming covered in loads of blades. Sakura wisely jumped away from the puppet, dodging the blades, only for its other arm to point at her and open up, showing several seals. I won't let you escape, Sasori told her, and forced chakra through the strands, activating the seals, creating countless amount of arms that slammed down on top of Sakura. Sakura. Tamari and Chiyo call out, worried about the girl, only for the dust to clear, showing Sakura managed to move herself in a way that avoided all of the hands but left her tangled in the wooden construction. Seeing this, Chiyo quickly attaches chakra strands to the girl and pulls her out of the arms. Sadly, as soon as she left the arms, a tube appeared in them, launching out a cloud of purple smoke that covered her. Soon afterward, several other tubes appeared, launching out ropes that quickly wrapped around the girl, who was too focused on making sure she didn't breathe in any of the smoke. Thank Kami I was able to get a deep breath before he did this. I can't die here. Sakura thinks, determined as she focused on keeping her breath as the bands tried to squeeze the air out of her. Thinking quickly, she reached into her bag and pulls out an explosive seal and set it off right next to her, making the smoke disperse while also launching her backwards. Thankfully though, Chiyo was able to catch her before she took any more damage from the attack. Something that made Sasori even more annoyed. So, he quickly launched several kunai at them, only to be surprised that Chiyo summoned the puppets he created of his parents years ago to block the blades. Tamari called out as she launched her largest blast of wind at the distracted Sasori, only to watch as he dodged the attack. Instead, she pushed all of the iron sand that was on the ground to the very edges of the cave. Still, Sasori paid no mind to this and instead focused on Chiyo's puppets, grinding his teeth in anger. You dare use them? Sasori asks Chiyo. I have always kept these two in perfect shape. Chiyo tells him simply, then has them pull out their weapons. As soon as they were out, she quickly launched them at Sasori, who in turn used the weapons he had on the cage's puppet to enter into a puppetry battle that Sakura and Tamari simply stood watching, unsure of a way to help. Sadly, in the end, after the fast-paced attacks, both of the puppets ended up destroying their equipment. Sasori growls out, annoyed with Chiyo. He then opens his puppet's mouth and poured more iron sand out of it and quickly began having it form into small balls. Balls that quickly launched towards all of the girls, creating indents in the stone that it hit. Course, he didn't seem bothered by the fact that they all missed and instead took control of the sand yet again, creating blades that hovered over all of them. After seeing this, Chiyo tried to use one of her puppets, only to find that the puppet's joints were filled with sand, making them impossible to move, making Sasori smirk. Let's see you protect 3 people with 1 puppet, decide who dies. Sasori ordered Chiyo and let the blades fall. Though much to his surprise, Chiyo not only had her puppet protect her, had one of her arms open up in a way that managed to block the other 2 girls. After which the arm fell off, showing that it was indeed a prosthetic. See, Sasori-kun, your abilities have opened up a whole new areas for the village to work with. Chiyo tells him with a sad smile. Still, Sasori chose to ignore her and instead quickly created several different shapes that floated around him and his puppet. I see you have finally become serious. Chiyo mutters, then looks over to the younger girls. Both of you, this is a fight that you won't be able to help with. Get out of here to safety. Chiyo orders them both, surprising them. Sakura then pictures all of the times when she truly was useless when she was younger and grits her teeth in anger. I am not going to make you face him by yourself. Sakura tells her. Use me as a human puppet and let me fight with you. Sakura tells her, surprising both Suna Ninja. Still, they could tell that she was dead serious, and Chiyo was quick to attach chakra strands to her as she wanted. Meanwhile, Tamari stood by Chiyo, fully prepared to blow the sand away from them if needed. So, after this Sakura felt herself running at Sasori and allowed Chiyo to fully control her until she clearly needed to attack and then took control of her arm and used her super strength technique to launch the various sand constructs away, slowly causing them to destroy the very cave they were in. Until it finally ended up completely destroying the cave. I can't believe it, in just this little amount of time she is somehow beginning to be able to read his attacks, Chiyo thought, shocked as she needed to control Sakura less and less. Sadly, Sasori soon realized this as well and decided to use more chakra. So, he then pulled two of his largest objects together high above all of them. Iron Sand. World Order, Sasori muttered, and the giant amount of sand soon spread out in random directions, creating a large number of tendrils of sand that jutted out in completely random directions, though only Sakura was truly in the attack's range. Shit, Chiyo muttered and quickly tried to pull Sakura back, only to watch as the attack finally came down on the girl, finally managing to cut her several times, with one on her arm being deep enough to have a steady stream of blood flow from it. Noticing this, Sakura quickly applies pressure to the wound but begins to pant until she finally fell to the ground. It seems that the poison finally has taken effect. Sasori says with a smirk, and quickly had the cage pull out another hidden blade and launch towards the downed girl. Sakura. Tamari and Chiyo called out and Tamari quickly launched a wind blast at the puppet, only to have it dodge the attack and still counties towards Sakura. Though much to everyone's surprise, as soon as the cage came in close, Sakura quickly got back on her feet and hit the puppet hard enough to completely destroy it. She then quickly regrouped with Tamari and Chiyo, who looked at her still surprised. I used an antidote, Sakura explained to them, pulling out a small vial. After curing your brother, I created several more doses, seeing as we already knew that we would be facing the poison user soon, thus leaving the man little time to change his poison. Sakura told them, making them both surprised at just how smart Sakura truly was. The only problem is that each of these only last a few minutes. Sakura told them with a small frown. Don't tell me, from that one time they were able to already make an antidote. Sasori thought, annoyed. Course she wasn't completely okay even after healing the injuries she had. For after fighting for so long she was running low on chakra and beginning to tire. Something that was easily noticed by both of her teammates, who looked at her worried. Though Chiyo couldn't help but also mentally think of her as a truly amazing medical shinobi, one worthy of being placed on a pedestal just as her old rival had been. Still, she wasn't able to focus on this as they heard clothing being moved and various metal being moved. It seems I will have to use myself in this fight. How long has it been since I have had to use my greatest creation? Sasori tells them, showing his entire body to be nothing but a puppet with various metal pieces coming off of him. He then quickly points his palms at the girls and launches a large stream of fire at them, making them duck behind rocks for cover. As soon as the stream was gone, both Sakura and Tamari jump out from the rocks and quickly attack. One with a kunai and the other with a wind attack. Sadly, Sasori quickly began to shoot fire again, easily destroying the jutsu and melting the kunai. Thankfully though, both of them were able to duck back behind the rocks before the fire could hit them. Chiyo then tried something as well, only to be hit with the stream of fire. Thankfully though, it was quickly discovered that she was only an earth clone. Undeterred by his failure, Sasori pushes Chakra into a scroll behind him and switched the streams coming from his hands to be pressurized water instead, that easily cut through the rocks around them, making them have to dodge the streams rather than stay behind the rocks. Thankfully though, this attack didn't last very long before the scroll on Sasori's back burned away, making him pull back the tubes in his palms and instead launch a spike that was attached to long wires situated in his stomach area. A spike that nicked Sakura slightly, but he instead quickly turned towards Chiyo and quickly began spinning the saw blades on either side of him as he launched at them at a fast pace. Though Sasori felt a bit surprised when the wire was coming out faster, only to look behind himself and see Sakura pulling out the wire, trying to bring him to her. It won't work, foolish girl, Sasori mutters, turning back at his target. Meanwhile, Tamari prepared herself for him and pulled out a blade she had to try and stop him from getting at Chiyo, who was unable to get up fast enough to dodge him. Course just before she could try, they saw Sasori stop just before them for a few moments before hearing Sakura yell, "Shinaro!" Sakura yelled, giving one last mighty tug, bring the surprised Sasori towards her until she hit him and broke his body up into parts that landed behind her. She then smiled happy that it was finally over until she heard movement behind her and saw Sasori somehow get pulled back together. Seeing this, Chiyo wasted no time and quickly pulled out a scroll summoning 10 new puppets out and quickly connected one to each of her fingers. In return Sasori pulled out yet another scroll and pushed Chakra into it, making loads of puppets come out of the scroll. He then opened up a container on his chest that glowed with chakra as countless chakra strands were made and connected to each of the puppets. Sakura, Temari, stay out of this. Chiyo ordered the two who didn't even glance at her. Hell no, Temari and Sakura told her at the same time and got ready to face the swarm of puppets that soon were launched at them. They all then began the large battle where they were outnumbered greatly due to Chiyo only being able to use 10 puppets instead of the large amount Sasori was using. Still they were making quick work with the help of said puppets in destroying more and more of Sasori's creations. Course with every puppet they created the rest of them seemed to get more precise with their attacks while they were getting worn down slowly. And eventually all three of the girls received several small cuts that they ignored to keep the deadly weapons around them from killing them. Finally after a few minutes of fighting one of Chiyo's puppets came up to Sakura and opened its mouth and pushed out a strange ball that Sakura grabbed even though she was confused. Still she figured it must be some sort of special weapon and threw it as hard as she could directly at Sasori. While it flew through the air it said man. She was surprised to see the ball quickly became a monster-like head that had large teeth that were all pointing outward. This head quickly slammed into Sasori and pinned him to the stone wall with him not moving at all. Is it over? Temari asks looking at the puppet just like Sakura and Chiyo as they finally got a break. She noticed all the puppets around them fall down but still kept her senses up just in case. A fact that helped out when they discovered that Sasori somehow was now a puppet that had several weapons pierced into its back. This puppet quickly rushed at Chiyo and would have stabbed through the old women if Sakura had not got in front of her and took the blow for the women. Sakura, Temari called out as she rushed over to them seeing as the blade pierced straight through her. She thankfully held onto the blade not allowing it to move any farther as she pushed medical chakra to the wound to stop the bleeding from around the blade. A surprise that the other two women weren't fully able to appreciate as they began to feel the effect of the poison on them. Due to this Temari quickly pulls out a syringe that she quickly pushed into her arm helping with the poison's effect. Meanwhile Chiyo simply looks at her syringe and quickly makes up her mind and stabs it into Sakura's leg instead of using it herself. Why? Sakura asks the old women but received no answer as Chiyo fell to the ground. She wanted to focus more on the old women but felt Sasori begin to try to pull back the blade and instead held the blade still even as he pulled with all of his might. This girl is skilled and incredibly strong. If my strength is truly no match then, Sasori begins to think, then twists his arm making the arm come off showing yet another hidden blade. Die. He ordered the girl attempting to decapitate Sakura only to be surprised as Chiyo quickly picked up her hands and forced his parents' puppets to stab him at the same time Temari did. He then looked around him and saw the three of them each holding a blade that was piercing through the cylinder in his chest. Huff huff, in the end, you lowered your guard Sasori. Chiyo told him through pants. While this was said Sakura fell to the ground due to the blade no longer being supported and laid on the ground herself. Chiyo then forced herself to the pink-haired girl's side and pulled the blade out while healing her. It useless. I hit her in a fatal area. Sasori told her making Temari look over his shoulder at her worried. Please she can't die here, I still owe her so much for all the help she has gave up, Temari thought sadly. Not even noticing that the green chakra changed back to blue from Chiyo's hands. I have already finished healing her, the rest I am doing by giving her my own life energy. Chiyo tells them simply shocking both of them. Lady Chiyo, Temari mutters out but knew she couldn't move just in case Sasori made any more sudden moves. Don't tell me. Sasori whispers out. I am using a reanimation technique, a technique I originally created for you until you went rouge. Chiyo tells him. Though much to her surprise, before she could finish the technique, Sakura began to move herself and slowly picked herself up. I have never heard of a technique that spares the user's life. Sasori tells her simply. Sakura's injury wasn't severe, Chiyo began to explain only to be cut off by Sasori. How unfortunate, Sasori began to tell her only to be slapped by Sakura hard enough to crack his puppet head. Though instead of feeling anything because of this Sasori simply looks at the girl. I would stop that this body does not feel pain. He tells her simply. Though because you won this I will give you a prize. You wanted to know about Orochimaru, right? At midday in 10 days go to the Tenchi Bridge located in the village hidden in the grass. I was supposed to rendezvous with him there, Sasori told her with his last breath, before falling over after Tamari let go of the blade she was holding. It's over, finally. Tamari mutters, then watches as Sakura takes a soldier pill and begins to try to help Chiyo, seeing as the poison was still in her system. Chapter 64. Note: I am not going to put Team Guy facing their copies, seeing it simply seemed to be an afterthought in the anime. So just know that everyone won in the way that you saw. After the girls' battle, Sakura was lost in her thoughts about the small amount of information. Though she quickly pushed those thoughts to the side for the moment and simply followed the rest of the girls as they walked to where the entrance of the cave was. They then saw that the guys finally were back, with Gaara's body being held gently in Naruto's arms. Said blonde clearly was upset with losing his brother. Gaara, Tamari mutters, clearly just as upset as Naruto. At this point Team Guy rushed to the scene, all looking banged up a bit but otherwise doing good. They all were fully prepared to fight until they saw their team standing around the clearly dead form of Gaara. So we were too late, Tenten muttered. Though this was ignored as Chiyo walked over to Naruto. Boy, set him down here. Chiyo ordered Naruto. Huh, why would I do that? Naruto asks her. Instead of responding, she sends a glare at the blonde, who relented and did as she ordered. So, he gently laid his friend on the ground and took a few steps back as the old woman knelt down beside his body and began to do several hand signs. Lady Chiyo. Tamari mutters, confused. I have decided, I am going to bring Gaara back. Chiyo tells them, shocking them all as her hands began to glow as her jutsu started. What do you mean? Naruto asks, shocked just as mostly all of them were. Over the years I created a jutsu to give life to something to help my grandson, but as the girl knows that isn't really possible anymore, so I will help the new generation. Chiyo tells them all. But you will die. Sakura says, shocked. I have lived a full life, girl, and I reluctantly have to admit that it was a pleasure to spend time with the second coming of my nemesis. Chiyo admits while still continuing her work. Lady Chiyo, Tamari begins to say, only to get the older woman to send a look at her, stopping. She was going to say, thank you. She mutters, letting the women do as she wished. The rest of the group did the same, with most still not fully understanding what was going on, but wisely let their teammate do what she felt she needed to do. Chiyo continued her jutsu for about a minute or two before she felt her chakra reserves begin to fade, which showed as her hands began to lose their glow. No. Please Kami, let this old woman use her last moments for one last gift for my village. Chiyo thought sadly as she tried to keep the jutsu going. As she went through this mental struggle, she felt someone cover her hands, making her look over and see Naruto looking at her. He then wordlessly begins to pump chakra onto his own hands, letting it pool around them. This boy, Chiyo thinks, surprised as she realized what he was doing. She then quickly began to siphon off some of his chakra, allowing her jutsu to return with the same strength it originally was. Everyone then watched as Chiyo's jutsu took effect for a few minutes until finally the glowing stopped from the older woman's hands, and she shakily watched as Gaara's chest began to move as he breathed yet again. Let's hope the new generation truly bring new great things to this world. Chiyo thinks as she felt her exhaustion take her. She let herself close her eyes and peacefully passed away. As this happens, Naruto catches her body and gently sets it down on the ground, wanting to respect the elderly women. He then had to quickly get out of the way as Tamari rushed over to her brother and sat his head on her lap. She then watched as he slowly opened his eyes. Tamari. Gaara whispers out. Gaara. Tamari calls out happily, confusing the revived man even more. What happened? Gaara asked, confused, trying to figure out why he felt so weak and strange. Well, you died, Kakashi said bluntly, making Sakura glare at him. What he meant was that the Akatsuki did manage to extract the one tail from you, but thanks to Chiyo-san's jutsu she brought you back to life at the price of her own. Sakura explained. Gaara then tried to sit up only to feel dizzy immediately, thankfully though his sister was there to quickly supported him. He then saw the elder's body lying near him. Thank you, Lady Chiyo, Gaara told her body in his unemotional voice. But his sister could hear the small amount of emotion that was in it. So our missions was a success. Kind of. Tenten says, not really knowing what to think after seeing a dead man get revived. Technically yes, but at a great cost. Sakura agrees as she walked over to the young Kage. Though right now we should focus on getting Gaara back to his village so he can recover from his traumatic experience, though I do request the time to do a few exams on him before we travel. Sakura tells the group, pushing her other thoughts to the side to focus on completing the mission. Good thinking, Sakura. Please start your exam and the rest of you prepare for our journey back from Suna. Kakashi agrees with the girl and sits down on a rock waiting for everyone to recover enough to travel in the harsh desert. Finally, after about 15 minutes of everyone recovering while Sakura ran a variety of tests on Gaara until she finally decided that he was safe enough to travel. So, with that in mind, they all got up and were going to travel except for one major problem. Come on Gaara, just get on. Naruto told the redhead. I refuse, Gaara tells Naruto blandly. For Naruto was trying to get Gaara to accept a piggyback ride so that they could travel at normal speeds. Course Gaara not only having his own pride but also being the Kage made him want nothing to do with said offer. A problem that the two were arguing over with neither of them willing to back off. Oh, for the love of Kami. Temari growled out, then grabbed one of Gaara's arms and wrapped it around her neck. Get on his other side and help me. Temari ordered Naruto, who quickly complied. There, now both of your ideas are mixed. She told them, making the rest of the group besides Neji and Sai watched in amusement. Still with the fight over, they started on their journey back to the sand village at a decent pace. Suna. After a long journey, the large group of ninja finally were within viewing distance of the village. Gaara was still being held by both Naruto and Temari, even though he repeatedly told them that he felt good enough to travel on his own. Meanwhile, Chiyo's body was carefully tucked away in one of Naruto's scrolls to be properly sent off in her loved village. Though the tired group were surprised once again when they were within a few meters of the gate. Thankfully, this surprise brought a smile to their faces as they saw loads of Suna villagers come out of village and create a path directly to the gate. All of the village was cheering and welcoming back the team, making all of them feel the excitement even though they knew who it truly was for. Gaara meanwhile was shocked by the love and emotions that he saw and heard all around him. Welcome home Kage-sama. He heard several people screaming at him, making him have the faintest of smile appear on his face. They actually like me. I always thought that they were just following me because of my power. This feeling, is this happiness, it feels nice. Gaara couldn't help but think as he basked in the overwhelming amount of positive emotions coming from all around him. Hey, you are a popular guy, Gaara. Naruto tells him with a large smile. I had no idea. Gaara admits never thinking any of his village liked him more than just a show of strength. Course at this moment Naruto was a bit closer to the village than Gaara was and was standing in front of the redhead looking back at him, leaving only Temari to hold him for a moment. A choice that he soon regretted as he felt someone shoulder check him out of the way before they launched themselves at Gaara. Oh, Gaara-sama, how are you feeling? Miki asks. Do you need us to get you anything or help you? Ayaka adds on, with both girls completely focused on him alone. Sigh. Well, I guess I wasn't truly able to beat the puppy love out of these two. Temari mutters, watching as the girls took both her and Naruto's spots to help Gaara walk, and made no effort to hide the fact that they also enjoyed snuggling up as close to him as they could. Though Gaara managed to remain unaware of this fact. Sakura then walked up to Temari, laughing a bit. Well, I guess they have their work cut out for them, just like Hinata did. She added, due to Gaara seeming to be as dense as the blonde. Yeah, but I don't really know how I feel about trusting some girl to look after my little brother. Temari mutters, making Sakura laugh even more. Oh, man, whoever would have guessed the hardened Kunoichi had a big soft spot when it came to her brothers. Sakura says, only to get a gentle hit to the side. Shut up, it isn't both of them. I trust Kankuro can make proper decisions when it comes to dating, if he can ever get a girl to look past all that makeup. But Gaara doesn't know anything. Temari explains, then blinks a few times. And if you tell anyone about this moment, I will kill you. She added on, with a glare now on her face. Hi, Sakura tells her simply while easily waving off the dread Temari tried to place in her. Sadly, while they were doing this, Naruto was left on the ground with no one even moving to help him. Ah, well, don't I just feel loved? Naruto grumbles as he got up and began to wipe sand off of him. And yay, it is going to take me ages to get all the sand out of my clothes. He complained. Course everything quickly quieted down when people began to notice a single figure appear right at the gate. For standing there was Ebizo looking at the group. Said group made their way past the now mostly silent crowd as everyone waited to see why the elder made a trip all the way to the gate. Though instead of asking a question, Gaara instead freed himself from the girl's hold and walked over to Naruto and stuck his hand out, confusing the blonde for a moment until he finally understood. Naruto then pulled the sealing scroll out from his pouch and placed it in Gaara's hand. Elder Ebizo, I am sorry to admit that Lady Chio gave her life to the mission. Gaara told the man, feeling guilty due to being the person she died to save. Still, Ebizo just looked at him for a few seconds before finally deciding to talk. She used that jutsu on you? Ebizo asked, surprising Gaara. Don't answer, I know, sense her chakra signature all over you. He told Gaara simply before beginning to walk away. My sister put her trust in you to lead Suna to be the best village possible. Don't waste her sacrifice. He told Gaara simply before walking off. Yes, elder. You have my word. Gaara tells him, knowing that he would have to talk to the man more when they weren't around so many open ears. Still, he didn't get to stand by himself for long before the girls reattached themselves to him. Okay, as much as I am enjoying the warm welcome, he needs to visit the hospital right away for a checkup. So, if everyone could get the hell out of our way, it would be appreciated. Sakura told everyone around them, making everyone clear a path to the hospital. For Gaara was still her patient at the moment and she refused to let him go unless she was sure that he was perfectly healthy. Not to mention she had no idea what the effects of Chio's jutsu would be either. Plus a few days later. After running every test imaginable, Sakura finally relented and allowed Gaara to leave the hospital on his own. Something that the redhead greatly enjoyed seeing, as for once he could have private time rather than nurses regularly checking up on him. Still, he heard that the Konoha ninja were leaving today and went towards the village's gate instead of his tower or somewhere else. He then caught the group just as they were saying their final goodbyes to both Temari and Kankuro. He then simply stuck his hand out yet again in Naruto, but this time with a small smile back on his face. Naruto quickly took his hand and gave it a firm shake, with a bright smile being shot at him before they finally left for the journey back to Konoha. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you have any fanfictions you would like to see on the channel, leave them in the comments, and have a great day.